got 50 juicy Reddit stories for you guys today. As you guys can see, I am not in my regular setup right now. I'm back home. By the time you guys watch this video, I have one more day and then I'll be back in my normal setup. We'll be on my regular streaming schedule and uploading schedule. But for this video, I went through some of my uploads from the beginning of the year and put together this almost 4-hour video for you guys with some of my favorite stories that we've read and reacted to this year. Not to get all sappy on y'all, but I wanted to take this moment to thank you guys. This past month has been absolutely crazy, not only for my YouTube channel, but also for my Spotify podcast. And it's all because of you guys. So if I don't show you enough appreciation, this is me showing you that appreciation. It's truly a blessing that you guys have chosen to give me a platform, and I'm super appreciative of it. And I'm really looking forward to uploading more content for you in 2025. Thank you guys again for your support. I will see you in 2025. My family wants me to break up with my girlfriend after how she responded to my brother's prank. We got a male 27, female 22, as well as the brother's male 22. I've been dating my girlfriend Lola for about 2 years now, and overall things have been great. My brother Ian has always been pretty weird whenever she comes up or is around. Ian and I are very close, talking to each other daily, but the conversation will usually change gears right as I start talking about anything Lola related. I thought maybe he was jealous of the time I was spending with her, or maybe a little crush on her. Still, whenever we'd get together, he'd make comments about our age gap, poke fun at me for simping, and joke about her sleep disorder. Ian's always enjoyed a good prank, either pranking or being pranked. He loves to laugh, and I genuinely believe that when he goes to prank people, he means it in a way to share the laughter. When he's tried to pull little pranks on Lola, though, he does things that he figured out triggers her disorder, like making sudden loud sounds, jumping out to scare her, and one time I caught him before he was going to do the shaving cream sleep bit while she was taking a nap in the guest room. I warned him that he shouldn't mess with her while she's sleeping, as interrupting her regulated cycles isn't good for her, and at the absolute best, she's the worst kind of cranky when she's woken up. Ian looked like he understood, and I thought that was that. I threw a New Year's Eve party a few days ago and invited Ian and a bunch of mine and Lola's friends. Everyone was having a good time. My watch went off with the alarm that we set up for Lola to take a nap. She went off with a sleepy smile. I kept partying. A while later, we all heard a scream, followed soon after by cussing and something breaking. I panicked as it was from my room where Lola was, and I ran through, nearly kicking the door down to find she shoved someone down and was yelling at them. I looked to see who it was and saw a spider mask that I unfortunately recognized as Ian's from years ago. I saw him scrambling to get away, but she only stopped when 3 of her friends pushed past me to pull her up and check her before she ultimately passed out in their arms. Ian scrambled off the floor and ripped the mask off, revealing the work she'd managed to do in the time it took us to react. He started bawling, telling me that she was insane and abusive, and that he only wanted to make sure she wasn't going to sleep through the ball drop. At this point, everyone started yelling. Ian looked terrified and kept repeating that she was crazy and that I shouldn't be with someone who could do this to her boyfriend's brother. Some of my guys were yelling that if she did it to him, she could do it to me. All of my friends were screaming about how he should know to leave a sleeping girl alone and how it was creepy. Ian ended up calling her mom to tell her that Lola hurt him, and she's furious. Lola's friends ended up carrying her out against my protests, and my friends were nearly split down the middle. I remember standing there while everyone argued while the ball dropped. My mother called me for the 10th time, and Lola finally texting me that she needs space to think. Since then, we've lightly texted. She's expressed that she can't shake her fear of what happened, but she still hasn't told me from her side what happened. Ian and my mom are trying to convince me to break up with her and chastising me for not helping or standing up for my brother when he was being assaulted. Also demanding an apology for not playing my part as an older brother. Ian has FaceTimed a few other family members and now my aunt, who paid for both of our colleges and the house my mom and brother live in and helped me to get my apartment, is taking the 3-hour drive up to make sure her boys are okay, which is stressing me out even more. On one hand, I know family is family and I should do what I can to stand up for the people who have helped to raise me and become the person I am. On the other hand, Lola is my girlfriend. I adore her. I love her. I feel like I should be there to protect her. I don't want to push her boundaries, but not talking to her is a different kind of hurt. Ian is convinced that while he was doing a well-intentioned prank and was wrongfully punished for wanting to make sure everyone was enjoying themselves, I don't know if I believe that. But I've known Ian for 22 years. Growing up, we were inseparable. I don't want to doubt him just because love may be blinding me. How do I approach the situation with Lola? How can I convince my family that Lola isn't a threat? She's honestly the most sweet and caring person. She just can't be woken up, and part of me feels like she was pushed to that point. If you are pranking somebody, yes, pranks are fun, haha, hee hee, we've all done a prank, gotten gotten pranked. What people don't understand is that pranks have risks. When you're pranking somebody, you need to be prepared as well as be able to take account for if the prank isn't well received. No matter what prank you're pulling, whatever happens next is on you. It's your responsibility to assess the risk of your prank. If you scare the shit out of a girl while they're sleeping, and not just somebody who's sleeping, but someone who has a sleep disorder that someone has already warned you, hey man, if someone wakes her up, she is very cranky, probably not the time to prank her because she'll probably have a bad reaction, and you still go through with it, you are responsible. I don't care if the prank was lighthearted and nice, which it doesn't sound like it was. Like, it sounds like you scared the actual fucking shit out of her. You can be a prankster all you want, but like, the best pranksters know the risk and they know how to either mitigate the risk or have something there that when that risk arises, they're able to protect themselves. This won't be a full update as a lot happened yesterday, and I frankly don't have time to get into everything with police and packing to deal with. While a lot of you advised I wait for Lola to tell me her side before I confront my family, they all came over to my apartment yesterday morning while I was writing out a list of questions for them. I was supposed to go over the night before, but I texted them saying I needed time and if we could meet later today. But they obviously didn't like that and showed up unannounced. The fighting started almost immediately, and I initially was thrown off by them being there, but I matched energy and started yelling back at them for their predatory and enabling behavior of Ian and how I couldn't believe they'd side with him over this, golden rainbow baby aside. My aunt got in my face about disrespect while my mom cried and brother cussed me out, but I pointed at my computer and yelled back at them that if they believed Lola was the problem, then they were victim blaming idiots that I wanted nothing more to do with. My mom kept crying, but I got my aunt's attention with the computer and she got close to look at the screen. I was going through comments to write up all the questions, and after a minute she turned back to us, really to my brother, and said, "What is this?" I explained Reddit and that I'd posted for help. Ian then stopped comforting mom and pushed past me to get to the computer, asking what right I had sharing family business on the internet. My aunt stopped him and asked, "Why didn't you tell us you were alone with her? You never told me she was sleeping." To say all hell broke loose would be an understatement. Like a switch, my mom almost immediately stopped loudly crying and looked over at my aunt confused. Ian started shaking his head and reiterating his version of the story, which, listening to it, was infuriatingly off. I'd figured out that not only did he tell my mom and our extended family a version of the story in which Lola was all too violent with him when he jumped from behind a door to give her a little spook, but he left out the details that put him in any bad light. I started yelling again, calling him a liar, but he started crying and called me a liar who was just trying to lie for my girlfriend. At the sight of my brother crying, my mom pleaded with us to stop, my aunt scrolling more on the screen. It felt like both a minute and forever that we were yelling in each other's faces about how the night went, how I felt he always used his tears to get his way, him yelling at me about how ungrateful I always was, etc. Unfortunately, I forgot where we were and didn't keep the volume down at all, and sometime later there was a knock on the door. I didn't know who it could be. Some dumb part hoped Lola, though I knew it wasn't. It was two officers answering to a noise complaint from one of the neighbors. Feeling stupid, I plainly explained that no one was hurt and we were having a heated argument, but that no one was in danger. I did let them look around and talk to my mom and brother, but my aunt spoke up when it looked like they were just going to give us a warning. "Actually, I think it's good that you're here. My nephew has something he'd like to report." She motioned to Ian, whose eyes looked between her and the officers quickly. My aunt still looked as angry when she first arrived, but she was glaring at Ian. You know, hypothetically, if someone touches or hits you without permission or justified reason, that's something you can and should report. Is there anything you want to say? There was silence, eyes moving to everyone around the room. My aunt didn't look encouraging in a report. It hit me that she was calling him out. I stared at him. His eyes were bulging. He looked as panicked as the other night when he was trying to get away from Lola. One of the officers asked if everything was all right, and like clockwork, Ian started bawling his eyes out. My mom asked him what was wrong. I told her she had to stop babying him. He's been lying to you guys. My aunt asking him again if he had anything to report. "You were up in arms against this girl this morning. Where'd all that fire go? Did she hit you or not?" It took a while of us pushing him, but he finally admitted to the room that he didn't have anything to report because he didn't feel like she'd be rightly prosecuted. His next story sounded closer to the one I knew, where he admitted to knowing Lola had gone to sleep and wanted to scare her so she'd wake up. I still don't believe his reason why he wanted her up. That he put on a mask. I asked if he knew she had a phobia. He said he knew she found them creepy and that no, there was no one else in the room with them. He couldn't get any of our friends to agree to the prank, so he did it himself. He said he started making sounds against the wall the bed was against and then got close to scream in her face. He said she woke up and surprised him because he he thought the stress and panic would cause her to scream or hide, but she went for his throat instead. He described his beating to everyone in the room, some of which I saw had the officers look at each other, then look back at him. Then that's when I pushed the door in. The door wasn't locked. I just panicked and didn't think to use the doorknob properly. I just threw my body at the door, and the rest of his story is what I was there for. I'm sure if the police weren't there, I would have hit him. I know I would have. My mom started crying even more when he said she was sleeping, a fact that changed his entire story, and my aunt chewed him out. Everyone's scolding him for his stupidity and asshole behavior, while the officers explained that it sounded like if what he said was true, Lola acted in self-defense, and that not only what he did was juvenile, but one of the officers asked my mom's permission to question him more as his behavior was concerning, and they wanted to make sure he wasn't a danger to himself or others. My aunt and I told the cops he was 22 at the same time, an adult, and they didn't need her permission. He looks a lot younger than he is. Upon hearing his age, one of the officers sat down with him and asked him to talk through his thought process, and the other officer explained to my mom and aunt that Lola could press charges given Ian's story. My aunt still looked pissed while my mom cried about being confused and over her baby. My mom literally looked at me and said she didn't understand how her baby could do this. I already know I was deep in the bullshit of this family, but I realized that I couldn't grow in the earth that poisoned me, and I needed to get away if I was going to get better and stay better. My mom kept fussing with my aunt and another uncle on the phone, crying over the drama, while I texted a friend of mine who lives across the city if I could stay with him. I was feeling overwhelmed with all of them and didn't want to be within a few minutes of the source of the problem. I also wanted to give myself space to think and understand with a clear head. I'm typing this between breaks of me packing. My aunt saw me in the room doing this, but she didn't stop me. She only asked if I'd spoken to Lola about this, and I told her I haven't yet, but I had plans to later. She told me she was sorry for believing my brother without listening to any other account, and she hopes Lola is okay. But the mom is part of the problem. That is literally how you fuck up your kid. So then it was just me in the apartment. The cops left after taking a statement from my brother, and my mom left with my brother, still crying, my brother calling me an a-hole, the world's worst brother, and my aunt gave me a hug, apologizing again for how she and her sister acted, and told me that I don't owe her anything, but that she'd like to know that Lola's okay. With everyone gone, I went to my friend's house, and I'll be there until further notice. He couldn't make it to the party, but he heard about it from multiple people. As far as Lola, yes, I did meet with her yesterday. As excited as I was to see her, I know that most of you were telling me she was going to break up with me, so I'd been preparing for that. Whether I ended up single or not, I wanted to make sure she was okay above all. I know I don't deserve her as a girlfriend, and I'd much rather she not be with me if it meant she was safe. She brought a friend with her, and we all sat and talked. I showed them both the Reddit post, and Lola has asked I not share any more information about her until she feels ready herself. She's on Reddit for gaming and generally scrolling fairly often, and let me know that if she came across this story without me having told her, she would have been pissed. She did, however, read a lot of the commenters worried about her and wanted me to express to you all that while upset, hurt, and with mixed up emotions, she is overall okay. She doesn't like that I posted about her without at least giving her a heads up, but after I offered to take the post down, she only asked that I give her time and to leave her personal life and opinions out of anything beyond what I've already said here until she says otherwise. In short, she did break up with me, and when I told her about the police telling us that she could press charges, her friend laughed and told me that they were more than aware. She thanks everyone for her concern and told me she really hopes we both learn from this. The section was approved by her. My mom has been calling and texting me, telling me that this whole ordeal has made Ian and her a wreck, and she can't believe I'd let a girl do this to us. I blocked my brother right after he left my apartment, and I just blocked her. My aunt let me know she'll talk to her, but I don't know how that's going to go. Am I the a-hole for leaving a dinner party after a girl sat on my husband's lap? My husband, Jake, and I have been married for 3 years, and from the beginning, he was very close with his best friend's sister, Cindy, 18 female. Well, my husband would often talk about her and tell me how he had seen her grown up throughout the years. Cindy is always very bubbly and seems very fond of Jake as well. I remember when we were dating, she would ask to come along on our dates a lot. I've never really said anything as I liked spending time with her as well. She was like a little sister to me. When we announced our engagement, she asked to my husband to better not forget her after being a married man and to still hang out with her. Well, we got married and I even made her my bridesmaid. Soon we moved to a different state and kind of lost contact. Now Jake's best friend came to stay with us for some time and Cindy came along as well. Now, the moment she saw us, the first thing she said was how hot my husband has gotten, and she was glad he didn't look like those boring married men. Then throughout their stay, Cindy would just ignore my presence and would be way too close with Jake. I told Jake that it was looking a bit inappropriate and asked Cindy to tone it down. But he said that Cindy is just a bit childish and is that way with everybody. Well, at their last day, we decided to host a dinner party for everybody. During the party, I was with Jake when Cindy came and told me, "Oh, I need to steal your husband for a while." And before I could say something, she grabbed Jake's hand and took him for playing games. I ignored it since it was their last day. But then throughout the dinner, she was getting way too close with Jake and would just drag him away whenever I would be around while giggling at me. When everybody sat for dinner, I sat beside Jake and Cindy came last. She then said, "Oh, there is no seat," and then just went and sat on my husband's lap. Everybody was surprised, and Jake said, laughing, "Cindy, stop acting like a kid. You are not a kid anymore." Cindy started laughing, saying it was a joke, and got up and sat on another seat while giggling at me. Yeah, I was so angry with the disrespect and with the fact that Jake was so cool with it, but I didn't say anything bad, so I excused myself, took my car, and went out. About an hour later, Jake called me asking where I was. I told him I'm going to my friend's house and I will come after Cindy has left. I know what I did was terrible, but I was so angry at the time that if I had stayed there any longer, I would have probably started fighting or crying. I came the next day and Cindy and her family had left. Jake was very pissed and said I took things too far. I started crying and told him how everything made me feel. He said I was horrible to think such things about Cindy and that she was like his sister. I told him that I was not doubting his intentions, but I was hurt by how disrespectful Cindy's behavior was, and he was enabling her by not saying anything. He started saying that I sound ridiculous and couldn't even take a joke, referring to the sitting on the lap incident. I said regardless, I don't want her in my house again. To top it off, Cindy sent a message saying that she was sorry about making me so insecure in myself and that she would make sure to make me feel better, but I should not have left as it was pretty childish and kind of spoiled the moment. It felt so backhanded, I didn't even reply to her. I just told my husband he needs to maintain a distance with Cindy. He asked if I was giving him an ultimatum. I said it is an ultimatum if he will go as far as disregard and disrespect my feelings for Cindy. This really rubbed my husband the wrong way, and he said since I have such disgusting thoughts in my mind and is giving him an ultimatum anyways, then he might as well leave because he cannot live with such an insecure person who has such disgusting thoughts about him. He packed a bag and left to his mother's place. I have tried apologizing numerous times, telling him how sorry I am for everything, but he is ignoring my texts and calls. Later, Cindy's brother texted me and called me a bunch of names to think like that about his sister, saying Jake should just leave me and a disgusting person like me deserves to be alone. I could not stop crying after that. I don't know how to fix this. Is there a way to even come back? Was I so wrong to deserve this? I don't know anymore. Edit, people who are asking our ages, we were 25 years old, just months apart. Red flags everywhere. Red flags across the board. The husband is absolutely gaslighting OP. This makes you uncomfortable? You're disgusting. I can't believe you would have those disgusting thoughts about me. I'm the victim here. Yeah, get rid of that man. Let him have the 18-year-old at that point, bro. They are both childish. They are perfect for each other. OP is absolutely not the a-hole. Juicy little update. I couldn't read all the comments, but now I know my feelings are valid and boundaries were crossed by Cindy. Now, during the dinner, there was Cindy, her brother, Sean, and his girlfriend, and their cousin Derek, also a good friend of my husband, with his boyfriend. So I called Derek and asked about the situation, what happened after I left. He was sympathetic and said that after I left, at first they thought I would come back, and after some time, however, things were really awkward. But when I didn't come, Sean's girlfriend told Cindy that she was so disrespectful for doing that. Derek and his boyfriend also said the same thing. To this, Cindy started crying, saying that they didn't have to corner her and attack her over a silly joke, that she didn't know it would get so out of hand. She then left the room while crying. Jake didn't know what to say, and everybody left early the next day. Derek also told me that Cindy has always had issues with boundaries, and when he introduced his boyfriend to everybody, Cindy would get too close and would joke that she was just checking if he was really gay. They were really uncomfortable with it as well, so Derek confronted her, to which Cindy rolled her eyes and said they can't take a joke and eventually stopped. This all sounds so bizarre. I don't know what's going on with Cindy. Sean's girlfriend also texted me saying she was sorry for what happened. I told him how Sean's message was inappropriate, but she had no idea about the text, so I sent her a screenshot and asked her to tell Sean to not harass me again. She was very apologetic and said she would talk to him. Now my mother-in-law called and asked what was going on, as Jake didn't tell her and only said we had an argument. I was a bit hesitant to tell her, but eventually told everything. She was furious at my husband. She said they will be coming to have a talk. So yeah, I'm just waiting for them to arrive and really nervous. I don't know if what I did was wrong or right, but we will see. As for people saying my husband is some pedo or they're having an affair, I know this is the furthest from the truth. I never questioned his intentions, but what hurt me was the lack of respect from Cindy towards me. Me personally, I would be more disrespected from the lack of support from my husband, but you do you, girl. You do you. Update 2. So my mother-in-law came with my husband, and well, the talk happened. There were a lot of things, but I will try to summarize. Basically, Jake apologized to me first and tried to explain his point of view. He said that he was angry because, 1, I left without saying anything for the whole night when he was literally just trying to diffuse the situation and try to laugh it off because it was so awkward, he didn't know what else to do. But instead of communicating, I just left him in that weird situation. He was meeting his friends after such a long time and just wanted the dinner to be peaceful. And Cindy was going back anyways, and we would most likely never meet her again. 2, he acknowledged Cindy was indeed overstepping boundaries, but he didn't know how to bring it up since he has literally seen her growing up and she is like a little sister to him. Also, she acts like that with everyone. He thought it was just for a few days. He wanted no drama during their stay, so he would just brush it off. He did acknowledge he was in the wrong about not saying anything. 3, he was already really worried and sad because how I just left with no explanations. Even after I came, not once, I asked how he felt. He was also very overwhelmed with everything and felt I was accusing him for not doing anything when he literally pushed her off as politely as possible when she tried to sit. He felt I was attacking his character when I gave the ultimatum. It made him feel sad because he felt as if I thought less of him. It wasn't about Cindy, but about how easy it was for me to question his sincerity. He said after that dinner, he was going to go extremely low contact with her anyways. 4, he apologized for not speaking up about the disrespect Cindy was showing towards me and for also leaving like that. All I'm picking up here is that the husband has the empathy IQ of a toddler. Hey man, how did your wife feel when a woman sat on your lap and you didn't do jack shit? Like, I hate that. Oh, woe is me. You wanted me to actually act like a good husband and I just felt so hurt. Bro, grow a pair of balls. Then after Jake said everything, mother-in-law explained Jake about the situation from her perspective. She scolded him a lot as well. In short, she told him that as a husband, it was his responsibility to make me feel like I am his priority and that he disappointed me the moment I had to come to him to ask for establishing boundaries. Yo, this mother-in-law fucking slaps. Somebody get her a fucking crown because she is a queen. As a husband, it was his duty that I never would have to come to him about this in the first place. She also asked him how he would have felt had it been a guy on my lap, and he had no answer to that. She told him how what I did was an eruption of suppressed feelings, and as a husband, it was his duty to go after me and never let me leave in the first place. There were a lot of things said by her, and Jake seemed to realize and sincerely apologize for his actions. She told him if he had ever pulled such a stunt ever again, then to not expect her to take him in. Later, she took me for a walk. It was just the two of us, and there she explained some things to me as well. She said that she is sorry for everything, but told me that even at her house, Jake was distraught. He didn't tell her because he most likely knew he was wrong too, but was overwhelmed about everything as well. She said she in no way was excusing her son's behavior, but would hope that I would forgive him. She also said that in no circumstances I need to leave my house as it was my house and my family. She said I shouldn't be afraid to speak my mind if anything makes me uncomfortable and to talk to her if Jake does something stupid again, and she will set him straight. She hoped we would work it out since she has seen our love for each other and it would be sad to see us split up due to some disrespectful brat, her words. She said she cannot have a say in our issues, but suggested that we should get counseling to understand each other better. She even bought ice cream for me. I know it's a bit childish, but she said sweet things work as a charm when people are upset, and well, she was right. Well, it was awkward at night. Jake came to our room and we didn't know what to say. After a while, we talked and both apologized to each other. However, I did tell him that I was angry at him to tell everything to Sean and was deeply hurt by the text he sent me. He said he didn't know what I was talking about, and I showed him the text. He said he didn't tell Sean about our fight and only told him that he was at my mom's place. He called Sean, and well, it turns out Sean told Cindy how she went too far at the party. Then Cindy made a huge sob story about how I was passive aggressive with her the whole time, how I would always try to question her character and act insecure and jealous. She even went on to say that I was always like that with her even when she was a kid, and that I never liked her and always tried to manipulate people into thinking I was an angel while she was a slut. Well, that made him angry to think how I could have been treating Cindy, and he sent those texts. Jake and I were baffled by such accusations, and he tried to explain to Sean how it wasn't true, but then Jake just let it be and decided to go no contact with Cindy and extremely low contact with Sean. Jake apologized again, and we just cuddled and slept. Well, Cindy is out of our lives for good now, and we have decided to go to counseling for better communication in the future. Let's see how everything goes in the future, but yeah, we are not getting divorced. I know a lot of you people wanted me to show Jake this post, but he was so sad and got scolded a lot already, so I decided not to show him for now. Maybe in the future. Sorry for all this rambling. Have a good day, people. Edit. I read people saying we should go no contact with Sean too, and I felt that it would be best to let that friendship go as well. I talked to my husband about it and he agreed. So he sent a text to Sean stating he could not be friends with him and then blocked him as well. To clarify, I have somewhat forgiven Jake for his actions, but I told him he needs to rebuild the trust I had. So I know I can rely on him in situations like that. He agreed, and we will be going to couples counseling as well. I'm less like, okay, you should divorce your husband, but he just sounds like a child. Like, oh, wee woo. He was so sad he couldn't hear more about how he had wronged his wife. Like, no, bro, you fuck up, you're gonna hear all about it, bro. I'm just curious how such a great mother-in-law produced such a shitty man. Am I the a-hole for ghosting my girlfriend's daughter after my girlfriend cheated on me? We have a 26 female OP, 26 female girlfriend, no age for the girlfriend's daughter. I was in a relationship with my girlfriend for 6 years. I was engaged to her and our marriage was scheduled in a few months' time. My girlfriend had a daughter at a really young age. Her ex left the state immediately after he heard she got pregnant. When I started dating my girlfriend, her daughter was 2. Over the past 6 years, I've pretty much considered her my own daughter and treated her as such. I had plans to legally become her stepfather after marriage. I loved my daughter so much. However, a couple months ago, my girlfriend confessed she had been having an affair after I saw her text from her coworker. The texts were so outrageous that she really couldn't lie about the affair. She said she had been having an affair for a few months. I obviously canceled the engagement and the wedding and moved out a week later. My girlfriend's daughter was a bit confused and it hurt me, but I really did not want to be around my girlfriend anymore. I have now completely cut off contact with both my girlfriend and her daughter. My girlfriend does still text me frequently and is asking me to reconsider at least maintaining a relationship with her daughter temporarily because her daughter has constantly been asking where is dad and even been crying a lot. This does hurt me a lot and I really wanted to maintain a relationship with my girlfriend's daughter, but the issue is that if I do go over to their house, I will have to see my girlfriend's face and I just can't stand to see her face anymore. I'm trying to leave it all behind and already started going on new dates. You guys might not like this, but I think I have to go with you're the a-hole. I don't think OP's the a-hole for leaving the girlfriend, but the daughter is a different story, especially if you grew up pretty much being her father. I think you have to do the father thing in this situation and be in that child's life. Say goodbye to the little girl, tell her the truth or that you both don't love each other anymore and that you still love her but have to leave. I think saying goodbye to her and letting her know it isn't her fault would be helpful for the little girl's understanding. I feel bad for OP though. So those people are just saying communicate with the daughter that you are leaving, but also like how much could an 8-year-old like really understand why dad left? Not the a-hole, write a lovely letter saying it's not anything she's done. It's just her mother and you are no longer friends, and give your ex's daughter a keepsake. Small stuffed animal toy. Perhaps say that you have an identical one, and when you see it, it reminds you of her and all the good times together. I don't know, you guys. For all intents and purposes, OP is this child's father. So we're basically saying it's okay for a father to leave their child. I know it's not actually his kid, but he was fully prepared to become this kid's dad and was setting expectations in this kid's mind that he was going to be this child's dad, but now is just gone. I do think you have to be a big man and be like, I am this kid's father and I will severely be fucking this kid up if dad just leaves. Everyone's going with not the a-hole. That's wild, bro. I am massively in the minority here. There is an update. Maybe we get a happy ending or maybe we don't. The guilt of not giving my ex's daughter closure was eating me up, and the comments agree that she would probably get trauma issues in the future if she didn't get closure. So even though I didn't want to communicate with my ex ever again, I did it one final time to give her daughter closure. I texted my ex this morning and asked her if she could drop her daughter off at a neutral location in the evening so I could spend a few hours with her and give her proper closure. My ex agreed, and in the evening, she dropped her daughter off to me. Her daughter was really happy and emotional when she saw me, and we spent the next few hours doing a bunch of fun stuff. After a few hours, as her mom was on her way to pick her up, I told her that this would be the last time she would ever see me, and it was not her fault at all. She broke down in tears and kept asking why, and begged me to never leave. I lied and told her I had to move to a different country and would never come back. I told her if she wanted to make me happy, she had to be good to her mom. I gave her a stuffed dog toy and also a letter. She was really emotional and cried a lot at the end, especially when her mom came to finally pick her up. I said my goodbyes and told her I would always remember her. This is probably my final update. Today was really heart-wrenching, especially seeing my ex's daughter crying like that, but I hope this gives her closure she needs and that she understands it was not her fault. As for me, I will carry on with my life as usual, although right now I am feeling extremely hurt and devastated. I have a nice job offer in another state, which I will probably accept. A change in scenery will also probably be good for me and my mental health. It sounds like majority of Reddit is agreeing not the a-hole, but I can't do that. I can't. I'm gonna stick to my guns here. I'm going with you're the a-hole. Legally or not, you became that child's dad and you're just leaving them. I can't sit here and pretend like that's an okay thing to do. I think that's awful. Am I the a-hole for refusing to consider stopping our divorce after my ex admitted her psychic friend lied about me having an affair? I met my wife Rona when we were in college together. I made the obviously terrible assumption that the fact that she was in post-secondary education meant she had a modicum of common sense. We started dating our senior year, and after job hunting, settled on moving back to her hometown after graduation. We found an apartment and lived together for 2 years before getting married. All good so far. At our wedding, I met an old friend of hers, Anna. She offered to read my palm since she was part gypsy. Weird, I am in construction, and I know a few people from that group, and they call themselves Roma, whatever. Anna only comes to town every once in a while. She lives in New York City, so she doesn't have time to visit since she has an exciting life there. She makes costumes for plays and cosplayers, so we see her maybe 4 times over the next 2 years. Last time she came was Labor Day last year, and that's when it got weird. All of a sudden, Rona starts acting oddly. She starts checking in on me at work, coming by when I'm working late, asking to use my phone because hers is almost out of power, that sort of thing. She finally comes out and accuses me of having an affair. I thought she was joking, so I laugh and say that I'm not. That sets her off like a Roman candle because Anna told her I would laugh it off when Rona came for the truth. I laughed because it was ridiculous. I barely had time for a relationship with my wife and my job. I am home all weekend long. When I go golfing, her brother is almost always either in my foursome or at the club. And most important of all, I love my wife. I wouldn't do anything to harm her, and yet she takes the word of Anna, the psychic seamstress, over mine. She asks me to leave our apartment. I say no because I have nowhere to go. So she leaves and moves back with her parents. They think she is nuts too. I spend the next 2 months working and trying to convince her that I'm not cheating and that I want her to come home. I don't get invited to Thanksgiving because it would be awkward. I didn't even stick around for Christmas. I went home to see my family. They had been following all this stupidity without commenting until then. At Christmas, they had an intervention. They said my wife was having a break from reality and that she wasn't coming out of it. My dad told me to give my head a shake, which he only does when I am being monumentally stupid. When I got back, I went to a lawyer and started my divorce. That was in January. Finally, at the beginning of April, Rona calls me to talk. I say that we should talk through lawyers. She starts to cry and I agree to meet her in public if she will allow me to record our conversation so I can give a copy to my lawyer. She eventually agreed. Turns out her and her parents hired a private detective to find my affair. 6 months and a huge bill later, zero evidence of an affair. She finally believes me and wants to come home. I tell her that our lease is up in July and I already found a job in Denver near my family. She says she would come with me. I respectfully declined. I told her we just weren't right for each other. The truth is I do not want to have my offspring share DNA with this dingbat. Anyway, I am moving ahead with my divorce. I am gutted that she took her friend's psychic vibrator over mine. Her family has approached me several times. The last time her dad offered to front us a 25% down payment on a house if I agree to go to marriage counseling instead of just leaving. I politely declined. I cannot be bought. Okay, but 25% down in this economy? Bro, this is me being a shitty person. But he didn't say you had to stay in the marriage. He just said to go to marriage counseling first. Maybe it would make the divorce more complicated, but 25% down payment on a house in Denver is fucking crazy. Rona is now depressed, but I see no way of trusting her again. She is young enough that she can marry again and wreck some other guy's life. Damn, if it isn't the consequences of Rona's actions, I'm surprised OP held out as long as he did, because if this happened to me, I would have cut that shit off so fast. Yeah, sure, maybe if you had evidence, if you found text messages, if you found whatever, sure, you have a good reason. But if some psychic girl is like, oh, your husband's cheating, and that's your evidence, I'm filing for divorce. Not the a-hole. OP, go find yourself not a crazy person. Am I the a-hole for telling my postpartum wife the same thing she told me? A backstory: when I was younger, I was bullied for being fat, and my mother wouldn't help me lose weight. So when I got into college, I lost a lot of weight and gained muscle, and now I'm 6'5" and 240 pounds. So me and my wife have been together since we were 25, and we are now 32, and had our baby 6 months ago. She's had a hard time taking care of him, so I've been helping in any way I can. So I haven't had much time to go back to the gym. I haven't gained that much weight, maybe 25 to 30 pounds, which is okay because I still look good. I plan to go back to the gym when he gets on a better sleep schedule, and my wife isn't so tired. She's recently been telling me that I'm getting fat and I'm not as attractive as before. I don't care what the scenario is. That's just a really fucked up thing to say. I mainly brush her comments off, but she's been doing this a lot recently and it's been making me upset. I've told her this and she said she'll stop, but she hasn't. So I told her, if you don't stop, I'm going to say something you aren't going to want to hear. She laughed and said okay while rolling her eyes. That's not the right reaction. Oh, hey, you better stop saying mean things to me or I'm gonna start saying mean things to you. I'm sorry. I thought there was one baby in this post. So on Monday, she had called me fatty and said that I need to hit the gym before she calls my old classmates. I said, I need to hit the gym. It's been 6 months since you've had the baby. You should not be looking like that. She ran off crying. I mean, yeah, you got her, but like, what am I reading here? I haven't apologized because I don't know if I'm wrong or not. If I'm wrong, I will go apologize, but I don't know. So am I the a-hole? Edit, she has not had any body issues in the past. She always feels like whatever weight she is what weight she is. Yes, I do love her body. I find it attractive. So I just said that to get her back. Edit 2, a lot of you missed where I said I did talk to her about it. Edit 3, what I mean is that she's now a stay-at-home mom. So because she couldn't get him to stop crying in the morning, she wants me to take off work so she can go back to sleep. When I come home, we are equal. We both take care of him. But when I'm at work, that's her job. No, he wasn't up all night. He sometimes wakes up a little after I wake up. Yes, I wake up with him at night too. What the fuck did I just read? I'm rubber, you're glue approach to the relationship. I think we can all agree this is an everyone sucks here. The wife is definitely in the wrong. OP is in the wrong for their reaction to this situation. This poor baby, man. This poor baby is gonna grow up with the absolute worst parents in the world. Am I the a-hole for breaking up with my boyfriend and kicking him out because he wanted to let my younger brother go into the foster system? OP is a 26 female. I recently lost my dad. He had a 15-year-old son, my half-brother Parker. No one in my family wants to take him due to the fact that he's my dad's affair child, which he conceived during my late mom's cancer treatment. Despite this, I love Parker dearly. Regardless of my dad's massive assholery, Parker is my little brother. I work in a lucrative field and own a nice condo, which my now ex boyfriend Colin lived in with me rent-free. He did contribute to utilities and other expenses though. We have the perfect home for Parker, and I can't for the life of me think of a single reason that we couldn't take him in. When I brought it up with Colin, he said that he didn't want to. I asked why, and he said that he just doesn't feel like looking after a kid. I reminded him that Parker's 15 and won't need constant attention or babysitting or anything like that. And Colin said that Parker would need emotional attention because he lost his father. I asked if he would really rather throw a 15-year-old kid into the foster system than deal with the emotional needs of said 15-year-old, and Colin said yes, while looking a bit shameful. I ended up giving him the ultimatum that Parker and I are a package deal, and that I would be taking guardianship and that Parker would be moving in. I made it clear that the only choice Colin had was if he wanted to keep the relationship and stay in the house. He called me heartless for choosing my cheating dad's bastard son over our 5-year relationship. I called him heartless for talking that way about a literal child, and he looked at me astonished and went to start packing. I love my ex, I really do, but Parker comes first. He's my own flesh and blood, the only brother I have. Meanwhile, there are plenty of other men out there. Still, my heart is breaking now that Colin's moved out. I miss him, but I don't regret my decision. Every time I think about what could have happened to my brother in foster care, I feel more love for my brother and less for Colin. My entire friend group has sided with Colin and pretty much ghosted me, which is what's giving my pause here. Was I an a-hole for what I did? Homegirl, sounds like you had some shitty people in your life. If you're on Colin's side, leave the video. I do not want you here. The massive ick I would get from somebody who's like, hey babe, so I know this person is really important to you in your life. Something has tragically happened to them and they did nothing in their control to harm you and your family, but like screw them and not have to deal with some emotions because your brother's dad died. And if you side with that, you're disgusting. Not the a-hole. Get rid of the boyfriend, get rid of your friends. You and Parker, live it up. You guys know me. I'm all about trying to find an argument for the other side. There is no argument. Am I the a-hole for not inviting trans friend to boys night? So I, 23 male, have big group of friends that have been together since primary school, and we have stuck by each other all throughout school and even during college. And we get 2-3 times a week to go to the pub, play video games, or even go on hikes. J, 23 male, K, 23 male, H, 22 male, N, 22 male. So one of our friends, Angie, not her real name for obvious reasons, transitioned from male to female over last year. And before that, pre-transition, my boys and I would occasionally invite her to boys night. But after, she became who she was meant to be, the way she should have always been, and we stopped inviting her. The boys and I decided that we no longer felt comfortable with her attending our boys nights, as we felt it necessary that we have a boys only space. Angie wasn't even really a part of the group pre-transition. She just was at school with us, so we occasionally invited her. We also figured this would give her gender euphoria, and inviting her to a boys event might cause dysphoria, and we all stand by our decision. But anyways, Angie would see our stories of us hanging out, and once came up to me when I was getting takeout from my boyfriend and my myself and ask why she wasn't being invited to boys' nights anymore. And I said, because you're not a boy. We're just trying to support you. She got upset and left the restaurant. Later, her sister, who we also went to school with, texted and called me a cold a-hole. And perhaps I was, but I'm conflicted. I thought we were doing the right thing. For the sake of argument, let's take out the transgender factor. If it's just some guy who was not being invited to boys' night, at the end of the day, they get to choose whoever gets to be there or not, especially the host. If I'm like, I'm gonna have a boys' night, I'm gonna invite who my boys are, and then someone who I'm not very close with and I don't like coming over to my house is like, hey, why didn't you invite me? I'm gonna be like, because I didn't fucking want to. Now with this in the equation, they're not inviting this person because they're like, I hate trans people. They're inviting this person because they're like, hey, this is boys' night and you are not a boy, which is respectful. I think that's very respectful for them to be like, hey, we accept that you're transgender. But since it's boys' night, we're only gonna have the boys. I think not the a-hole here. It's not for them to decide what would cause dysphoria. It's not that they're deciding for them. It's just that they're saying this is a precaution that we thought of and our intentions weren't malicious, which I could never disagree with. I think intentions are very, very, very important when you're considering if somebody did something wrong, because there's difference between a wrongdoing that had malice backing it versus a wrongdoing that had a good intent behind it. Have a separate boys thing if you want, but sounds like they didn't like her much anyway. I have to disagree with you on that. I'm not picking up on them not really liking her. Maybe someone's gonna watch this and be like, you're fucking transphobic. I'm not. I'm really not. I'm very comfortable in that. So call me what you will, but I'm gonna stick with my guns here and say not the a-hole. Not the a-hole. What does she want? Be viewed as a boy or a girl? As a girl, right? And the party was boys only. You can't have it both ways. Info, do you still hang out with her at mixed gender social outings? Are you actually friends with her? So this is OP. I mean, like I said, we hardly invited her before, but yeah, I mean, sometimes she's my boyfriend's friend's sister. That doesn't seem like a super close correlation. The update, I apologize to Angie. I told her we support, we care for her, and we want the best for her, but boys' nights are sacred and they are trans inclusive as one of the guys is female to male, and we treat him the same. Angie says she understands but has lost most of her friends and just needs support, so we agreed one of the 3 boys' nights is just a mate's night for everyone. So happy ending? Question mark. This was the vibe I was getting, was that they were super understanding. Assumptions were being made. Everyone's on a different page. But now that everyone's communicated, we're all good to go. Am I the a-hole for refusing to attend my brother-in-law's wedding because he is too fat? I, 27 female, refused to go to my brother-in-law, 31 male's wedding because of an argument that happened 2 months before my wedding. My wedding was my moment. I had everything planned and it was everything I had dreamed of. Well, almost. My brother-in-law is a massive jerk. Typical Chad type. He thinks he is famous and he is unbelievably arrogant and unnecessarily mean. So when it came to my wedding, he was a bull who saw red. He texted my husband and begged him not to marry me because I was fat and unhinged. I am a size 12 women's and 5'6". I am by no means fat. We still decided to allow him to come as he was family, and I didn't want to make a bad impression on my in-laws. But on the day of the wedding, he ruined my husband's day with a last-minute message saying he refused to attend. His reason was that I was a food-eating hurricane that was more horizontally challenged than Saturn, to the point that the rings didn't fit. At this point, OP could drop a nuclear warhead on this guy, and I'm probably gonna go with not the a-hole. Now, this didn't ruin my day, as the thought that must have been behind this insult actually makes it hilarious. In my head, I can imagine him writing ideas on paper and scrunching the bad insults up, but it ruined my husband's day, which gave the wedding an off vibe. But now he is getting married, and in that time, he has ironically got obese. He is only just obese, but still clinically defined as obese. So I refuse to attend his wedding because he is too fat for me to attend. He told my in-laws, and now my in-laws are blowing up my husband's phone, telling him that I have to attend because I am being petty and holding a grudge, and that if I don't attend, then they will go no contact with us both. My husband is upset about this and has asked me to go for his sake because it has been 2 years and I should have moved on. Huge red flag that you have to put up with in-laws who are okay with their son calling their other son's wife fat. If I ever called one of my sister's boyfriends or fiancés or husbands fat, my mom would beat my ass at the age of 26. I firmly believe that, and I also firmly believe that I would deserve it. Don't get me wrong. Is it petty to be like, oh yeah, he's too fat for me to attend? Probably petty. Does he deserve it? 100%. Edit, yes, in-laws know what he has said, but they allowed it as it was a bad day. His ex filed for a restraining order. If your son is getting a restraining order from a woman he dated, probably means means he's a shitty person. They allowed it, saying he didn't mean it, etc. So we just moved on with our lives. 2, also, I am not fat phobic. Also, not upset about my body. I am now comfortably a size 14, and brother-in-law made many fat comments, so I just find it ironic that it has now been clinically stated that he is obese after being so cruel to me for being fat. 3, he thinks he is famous by having to feel like he is on a red carpet. Needs attention to himself. We have to cater to his needs. Have to have certain things at events, like a certain brand beer, even at kids' parties, a fan when it is hot, and other small things that inconvenience any host. I would hold that grudge, but also give him an award for that incredible insult. The metaphors were there. Was it nice? No. But my God, that was well put. Would I be the a-hole for not allowing my dying cousin to walk down the aisle? My 27 female cousin, 23 female, was diagnosed with leukemia and is not doing well. I feel terrible for her, but I was never close to her growing up. We grew up in different countries. I'm getting married in March 2024. My aunt came over 2 weeks ago to discuss something. She wants me to let my cousin walk down the aisle with her dad before I walk. I don't feel comfortable with this because yes, it's sad that she won't get to experience this, but isn't it my day to shine? My aunt says that I'm being selfish for not doing this. She spoke to my parents about this and they don't seem too happy. My in-laws are not pleased too, but they still want me to decide. My fiance doesn't feel comfortable too. My aunt brought my cousin to my place to discuss it last week. Cousin cried, saying she wanted to walk down the aisle and that I should let her. I told her it was my wedding day, so it was not right for her to take over. She then called me selfish and a bridezilla for not caring about her. Like I said, we were never close, so I don't know why she's trying to do this on my wedding day. I told her I needed more time to think, so she's on IG posting cryptic stuff, obviously attacking me. I talked to my friends for non-biased opinions and they were divided. Some want me to allow her to walk down the aisle because she would never get to experience that and I'll be doing something nice. Would I be the a-hole if I say no? Some people might like shit on me for this, but just because you're dying doesn't mean you're entitled to things that you won't experience because you're dying. Fucking sue me. Smite me right now. If we're gonna operate under this logic, I'm dying from leukemia. Walk into a Walmart. Oh, I'm never going to experience what it's like to have a PlayStation. Will you guys give it to me? Oh, you won't give it to me? You're shitty because I'm dying. I don't agree with that. If there is an opportunity to give someone that and it makes sense, totally here for it. Like Make-A-Wish makes a ton of sense to me, but this is extreme, not the a-hole. If you're looking for more messy Reddit stories, click the link at the top of the description or the videos popping up on screen right now. The members of our community love these videos and I'm sure you'll enjoy them too. Am I the a-hole for wanting to divorce my wife because she caused me to go to the ER? We have a 50 male OP as well as a 45 female wife. My wife and I have been married for almost 20 years. We have a 16-year-old daughter and life has been pretty good. We've had our ups and downs like any marriage, but we work together through it. We have even done marriage counseling a couple of times to get ourselves on the right track. Mostly IRL stuff and feeling like roommates. When it comes to household chores, I've always cleaned the house as I am a bit OCD with cleaning due to growing up in a house with roaches as a kid. She takes care of the laundry and we split making dinners on days I'm off as I work 12 hours a day, 4 days a week. Kiddo takes care of the dishes. So herein lies the issue. The wife is going through perimenopause. She's been super emotional and a bit unlike herself for the last 6 months or so. She's taking meds to help even out her hormones, but it's taking time. One day she is overly nice. The next day complaining about every little thing and getting all bent out of shape. So yesterday morning was one of her bad days. I forgot to set up the coffee pot to make coffee in the morning. When I went down, she was all bent out of shape over it. I tried my normal tactic of apologizing as I had a migraine and went to bed early and just forgot. Told her I would make coffee in a bit as I just woke up and needed a little bit to get the morning fog out of my head. Typical thing for me in the morning. She didn't like this answer, so as I went to sit on the couch, she threw her coffee cup at me, causing it to smash into my head, breaking and splitting my head open. At first, I was pissed that she actually threw something at me, like what the fuck? But then felt liquid, blood obviously as I couldn't see it, going down my neck. I put my hand on it, pulled it back, thinking it was coffee, then saw the blood. Of course, at the sight of this, my wife all of a sudden freaked out, screamed at my daughter to get a towel, all the while apologizing to me and crying, stating she was sorry. We headed to the ER and had our daughter drive as wife couldn't as she was a hot mess. Luckily, it wasn't so deep that it needed stitches and they used that glue stuff. The thing is, I had a rough childhood / home life. I was physically abused by my mom all the way up until I left at 18. My wife knows this, and when she did what she did, it brought back all those memories so long ago forgotten. I love my wife, but I swore to myself myself that I would never be in a place where I'd be abused ever again. And now I don't know if I would be the a-hole if I file for divorce because of this. I know her hormones are partially to blame, but also know she's an adult and responsible for her actions. I guess I'm not looking for advice wondering if I'm the a-hole if I decide to leave. Maybe I just need to vent a little too. This is like not really related. I feel bad for OP, but I feel even worse for that 16-year-old. Throw that 16-year-old in therapy because that's some trauma right there. I know hormones are like a big thing with women specifically. Like there are different experiences throughout a woman's life where they have hormones in their body that makes them do things that are out of character. But to me, there's no excuse to physically assault your partner because of hormones. And also as something as little as not making coffee. Yes, hormones will make you act out of character, but I think there's something deeper going on if you're going towards violence. I do want to say for 20 years of marriage, this could be an outlier occasion, but I think the deal breaker has to be how the wife reacts after this. Are they realizing like, oh my God, I fucked up on a grand scale. I need to start going to therapy for myself. I don't think OP would be the a-hole at all if they just decide they want a divorce. Not the a-hole, I would file for divorce too. That cup could have hit you on the wrong side of the head, caused severe damage. WTF, I hope your daughter is safe. Not the a-hole, you need to make sure you and your daughter are safe from violent outbursts. I'm also going through pre-menopause, which makes me a little crazy at times, but allowing myself to lash out physically is never an option, period. Okay, yeah, pretty much everybody's saying not the a-hole. Am I the a-hole for not telling my son that his brother passed? Info, my youngest slept with his brother's wife. After my oldest found out, he and his wife got a divorce and my youngest married her a year later. Well, that's a lot. We got a 56 male OP, we have a 33 male oldest son, and a 30 male youngest son. My oldest son had cancer and passed away 3 weeks ago. Over the months leading up to his death, my youngest and his wife have been trying to reconcile with my oldest, but he always made it known that he wanted nothing to do with them. He specifically told me that they were unforgiven, and he wouldn't forgive them just to ease their guilt. When I kept bringing up the idea of reconciling, he used to get mad at me, so I stopped trying. I just kept telling my youngest and his wife that they had to accept that he wanted nothing to do with them and they needed to move on. I don't think that's something you reconcile on. Hey man, you should really forgive your brother for sleeping with your wife, and then after you got divorced, they got married. Totally forgivable. When my oldest passed, I did not tell my youngest or his wife to honor his wishes. He always made it clear that they didn't deserve to mourn him in life and didn't deserve to mourn him in death either. About a week ago, my youngest saw his brother's obituary and called me screaming for not telling him that his brother had passed. He told me that I denied him the opportunity to make things right and that I should have told him his brother passed. I told him that it would be disrespectful for him to even come in the first place, as his brother wouldn't have wanted him there, and that he and his wife denied themselves from attending. He hung up on me and blocked my number. My wife told me that she feels guilty for not telling him and that we should have given him the opportunity to say goodbye to his brother. I told her that I would just find it disrespectful of us to do so, as he made it clear that he didn't want them to come. She told me that she understands, but she's upset that our youngest is mad at us and that we should just try to put everything behind us to heal. I told her that what our youngest did was unforgivable and I was not going to allow him to disrespect his brother in life and in death as well. My wife has been crying constantly because our son blocked us and she started blaming me as well. I'm hurt, but I don't regret what I did or even see what I did wrong. I feel like my youngest should just take accountability of his actions instead of blaming everyone else. This is one of the easiest not the a-holes ever. The oldest son specifically told OP not to on his deathbed. And that's all we need to know. I can already tell that the mother is one of those like, who cares what my younger child did? I just want everybody to be happy. I want everybody to be nice to each other. She's probably part of the reason why this person is this shitty of a person. This wife's reaction is fucking crazy. She told me that she understands, but she's upset that our youngest is mad at us and that we should just try to put everything behind us to heal. Bitch, he destroyed your family. The fact that she wants to heal instead of keep this guy accountable to his actions, like, that's crazy. Am I the a-hole? My best friend's wife told him that she had an affair with me. I, 35 male, have been married to my wife, 35 female, for 8 years. We have 2 wonderful children. But this is about my friend Josh, 35 male, and his wife Mary, 34 female. I met Josh during my freshman year of college, and we have been friends ever since. We have always shared our love for tech, and he is always my go-to guy when I need someone to talk to. Josh started dating Mary 5 years ago. Let's say Mary has a very different set of morals than my wife or me. She is very loud, manipulative, and just craves attention. Josh and Mary have been dating on and off for 4 years. They broke up often, but somehow always ended up together after a few months. Mary is always the one who breaks up with Josh and then takes him back. I also know that Mary cheated on Josh at least with 2 guys when they were dating, but somehow convinced him that he was not putting enough effort into the relationship. Josh always blames himself for Mary not being happy. My wife also knows about all of this and has always kept her distance from Mary. However, we do meet her often during parties with friends. Josh and Mary got married last year. Last month, Josh found out that Mary was cheating on him again and had an affair with one of her coworkers. Josh was completely broken and stayed at our place for a week before going back and confronting Mary and kicking her out of the house. Josh bought the house before marriage, and hence he had to get the cops involved to kick her out. From what we know, Mary moved back to her parents' house. I had been helping Josh through the process, and he filed for divorce last week. Last Saturday, Mary came to Josh's house to collect her stuff along with her dad. I had advised Josh to get out of the house when they came, but he wanted to make sure she did not take anything that did not belong to her. During her visit, Josh got into a fight with Mary, and Mary told Josh that she had an affair with me while they were married, and we used to do it in their bedroom. This is all 100% false. I have always known that Mary was trouble and kept my distance from her. I feel like she is trying to hurt Josh by saying this. After that incident, Josh got extremely agitated and came to our house. I saw he was distressed and knew something was wrong. As I opened the door, he started cursing at me and accusing me of sleeping with Mary. Luckily, the kids were not home, but my wife and I were there, and we were both shocked by what he was saying. He tried to punch me, but luckily he hit my shoulder and I was able to wrestle him on the ground and calm him down. I kept on telling him that what Mary told him was completely false and that I had never spent a single minute with her alone in my life. My wife threatened to call the cops and he left. After he left, my wife was completely inconsolable. It took me hours to calm her down and convince her that Mary was manipulating Josh. I work from home and rarely leave my house without my wife or kids. I think she believes me, but she has been different for the last 4 days. Josh told a lot of my close friends that I was having an affair with Mary. He is not taking my calls or my wife's calls. My wife tried to call Mary, but she was also not taking our calls. All my friends, including Josh, think that I am the biggest a-hole for getting involved with his fucking wife. I have no idea how to convince anyone that this is false. I am just so frustrated. Can someone please give me advice on what I can do next? Does Josh really sound like a good friend? I want to start there. Does Josh sound like somebody that you should be good friends with? Don't get me wrong, as somebody who has had a very poor taste in women, my taste in women, maybe not fantastic by any means, but it's not let the girl cheat on me multiple times bad. I think that also bleeds into a little bit saying like who you are. I think that says a lot about how you view relationships and the type of person that you are. What does it say about somebody who gets cheated on by a woman 3 times, and then when that woman says that she slept with your good friend who you trust, and you trust her over the good friend? I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say he probably is a shitty friend to begin with. We're gonna go with not the a-hole on this. Honestly, man, your number 1 priority should be your wife right now. Like, fuck Josh, fuck your other friends. Go to your wife and be like, what do I gotta prove to you that this is completely and utterly false? That should be priority numero uno. We're gonna find a date, time, and place that she claims that we slept together, and I'm gonna prove that wrong. Or we're gonna get her to admit to it. Consult with a lawyer, ask if you have a case to sue Mary for defamation. I'm serious. She's telling lies you should be able to prove are false, and she's doing measurable damage to your life and reputation. If a lawyer thinks you have a case, you should file ASAP. First of all, thanks to you/addangerous1243 and everyone who suggested that we should file for defamation. I just kept on thinking in my head how I could get Mary to tell the truth and convince Josh that I had completely forgotten the legal route. I was not able to update as the lawyers had told us not to say anything until we got a confession from Mary. After posting on Reddit, my wife and I spent a few hours at night reading through all the comments. We immediately decided to explore whether we could sue Mary for defamation. Some of you suggested that I should take a polygraph test. I asked my wife if we could find a place for that, and she smiled. She said she does not doubt me one bit, but we can't let people have any doubt that I had an affair with Mary. Our kids are friends with their kids, and we can't live with them thinking I had an affair with Mary. She just wants us to be strong and solve the issue as soon as possible. In the morning, we messaged my wife's mother's friend, who is a very experienced attorney. We called her based on the time she gave us in the morning and explained the issue. She said that we should pursue the legal route, but she does not handle such cases and gave us the contact of another attorney in her firm and set up a meeting with her at noon. We went to visit her and discuss the issue. The lawyer told us that we could sue Mary as she had made false accusations, and there is a precedent of considering what she said as slander, as it attacked my character, and we can prove emotional distress. However, she told us that a defamation lawsuit is a very long and expensive process and may take several years. She told us Mary has a weak hand and she will not want to go to court. Hence, we should give her a way out by telling her to give in writing that what she said was false. Moreover, as she said the false statement to Josh, we would need Josh to state what she said. I won't go into details here, but might post it in the comments later on. However, we came up with a plan for sending her a letter of intent to sue for defamation. The attorney worked on this and we got notified that Mary received the letter on Friday morning at her parents' place. The letter told her we would sue her by the end of the month if she did not provide any official statement in writing that the statements she had made were false. The letter also told Mary to only communicate via the law firm regarding this matter. As planned, I messaged Josh and told him we had decided to sue Mary for defamation due to the false statements she had made about the affair. We would leave no stone unturned to prove that the allegations were false. Our lawyers will contact you next week and we hope you cooperate with them and tell them exactly what she said to you. On Saturday morning, as I was cooking breakfast and my wife was sitting with our kids, the doorbell rang. I saw through the Ring camera that it was Josh and Mary standing outside the door. Before I could tell my wife to stay back and not open the door, she bolted towards the door. She opened it and started yelling at Josh. She is 5 foot, nothing tall, but she is scary when she is angry. She just started calling him names and saying, how could he destroy our lives when we supported him at his lowest? Josh just kept saying he wanted to talk to me and kept repeating that. He looked down. My wife just kept on yelling at him and telling him to get lost. Mary started talking, then saying she was sorry for what she said. Josh was abusing her as she was packing, and she just said that to hurt him. She just kept on saying that Josh is such an idiot and has created such a big mess. My wife turned to her and told her that she better find a good lawyer to reply to our lawyers. At last, she told Josh that if he wanted to meet, go and first make things right for me and then slam the door. Damn. I was watching all this from the breakfast table through Ring camera and realized that we recorded the whole conversation, including Mary confessing her lies. I felt so relieved in the moment knowing that I had proof of her telling the truth. We forwarded the video to our lawyer and she sent a thumbs up and called us briefly to say that we should meet on Monday to discuss the next steps. After an hour or so, Josh messaged our friends group that he did a terrible thing and spread false statements about me. He is ashamed of it and wants to apologize for it. Mary messaged saying that some statements she made were misconstrued by Josh and that what he told everyone was false. Their relationship is going through rocky times and would thank everyone for giving them privacy and to pray for them. The rest of the day has been great. I've been taking my kids to their Saturday activities and playing with them while my wife was talking on the phone with all my friends' wives and her friends gossiping about what happened. The only thing I told her was to not send the Ring video of Josh and me from last week and to not mention Mary's affair to them. I still think it's a private matter that Josh told us in confidence and we should respect that. Everyone was shocked that Josh attacked me physically. Regarding my friends, I made a blanket statement that they all hate me in the last post, but in reality, 4 of my friends called me during this week to ask me what was going on. They told me they knew how crazy Mary was and asked me how they could support me. One of the friends was the one that Josh had told. He told me that Josh told him that Mary had an affair with me and he had filed for divorce. He conveniently left out the part about her cheating on her coworker. I don't think anyone apart from my wife and I know the whole story. He knows at least 2 of the other friends Josh called and said the same. Due to this, the gossip started spreading that they were divorcing because of me, and most of my friends were just waiting on the sidelines instead of extending support to me. However, I think I learned who are the people that really got my back in need. About Josh, we still plan to file for temporary restraining orders against him and Mary next week. The lawyer said we should be able to get it for Josh as there is clear evidence of danger, but Mary might be a long shot. We will see what to do from there. As for our friendship, it's done. It ended the minute he decided to punch me instead of at least asking me if it was true. I can't have people like him around my wife and kids. He was a great friend, but my family and their safety have a way higher priority than him. For Mary, I guess she wins. My wife still wants to push to get her to pay our legal fees. We will see what to do on Monday. However, she was able to destroy Josh's support system with one lie. I was helping Josh through the whole divorce process, but he is on his own now. I also do not think many of my friends would be kind to him after the shit he tried to do at my house. I feel bad for him. I know he needs support and professional help. However, I did my part, and I hope he understands what's right for him in the future. Am I the a-hole for telling my friend I'm not interested in a date with her friend because she's obese? We have a 25 male OP and a 28 female friend. I had a friend of mine try to put me on a date with one of her friends. She knows I've been trying to get back out into the serious dating world after the dumpster fire of my last relationship 2 years ago. She told me she has a friend who is also looking and would be more than happy to set us up on a date. I gladly said yes, please, and asked her kindly to show me some pictures of her so I could see what she looked like. At first, she didn't want to show me at all because she wanted to have it be a surprise. After going back and forth for a little bit, I convinced her to show me what she looked like. She showed me pictures of her and she was up there in size. I'm not trying to be be mean here at all, but I just was not interested at all anymore after seeing what she looked like. I myself used to be over 300 pounds at 6'1" until I turned 21 and shed off 150 pounds over the course of 2 years. Trying to be nice, I told her while I appreciate it for her trying to help me, I was not interested but extremely thankful. She immediately went off on me saying I was shaming her and being fat phobic because she was a larger woman and that it shouldn't matter and I should see past it all and my preference for dating is crap. I couldn't bring myself to that. From someone who's always been a big guy growing up, always using food as a coping mechanism for my problems and troubles to lose all the weight, I want someone to be on the same path as me. The reason being is that I've worked really hard to come to where I am now and I don't want that potential of someone pulling me back into that life. It just isn't for me anymore. I'm sure the friend is nice, but I didn't say anything in the negative tone or came off saying anything rude or condescending. It's just the preference I have for dating, and it was thrown back in my face. I'm not the most attractive guy there is, just pretty average, but I still stand by my preferences no matter what. It's not like he out loud to her was like, oh, I don't want to go on a date with her because she's obese. Yes, that was why, but you're allowed to have those preferences. I don't see this very much different from somebody being like, I don't date people who are under the height of 5'8". I think same thing here. If you're like, obese people aren't my style, I think that's extremely shallow. You're limiting yourself because of their appearance, but I also think it's important. You have to be physically attracted to somebody in order for that to work long term. I'm gonna go with not the a-hole. Am I the a-hole for robbing my wife's affair partner, which has now led to his divorce? We have an age 32 OP, an age 30 ex-wife. I've been married to my soon-to-be ex-wife Madison for 4 years. We are currently in counseling, but it's not going to work. About a year ago, I found out she was having an affair by coming home to their clothes in our living room and sounds coming from our bedroom. I lost it. I was getting my cricket bat out of the front closet when I stopped to think about consequences. I did not want to go to jail. Instead, I took all their clothes and left quietly. I went to a friend's house, but not before throwing all the clothes in a McDonald's garbage can. I turned off my phone and got shit-faced with my buddy. His wife hosed us off in the morning. After I turned my phone back on, I had dozens of calls and texts from Madison. First scared because she got my updated flight information. Then upset that I hadn't called her to let her know I was going to be coming home early. Then freaked out that the house had been broken into. Then crazy because she figured out it was me. They just got more deranged. The guy she was with is 5 inches shorter than me and about 60 pounds lighter. So if he had taken my clothes, it would be obvious. He ended up calling his friend to go get his spare keys from his house. Unfortunately for him, his wife smelled a rat and followed his friend back to my house, where she saw him leaving in oversized clothes. Long story short, she took pictures and she had evidence of his infidelity, which caused their prenup to be canceled, which cost him a lot of money. It is all one big giant shit show. It took a couple of months, but my wife convinced me to try and forgive her. We started going to counseling and we were working our way through it until recently. In a counseling session, she said that I was wrong to steal his wallet, phone, and car keys. She said that his divorce is costing him a lot of money and that I should have dealt with it in a more mature manner and that it was my fault. The audacity to say something like that is fucking so insane. Hey, babe, I know I just cheated on you, but you should really be more mature. No fucking way. I've never admitted to taking his stuff to begin with. I was afraid he might call the cops. Then I didn't want to give her ammunition in case she wanted a divorce. Now I just don't care. I told her that her cheating was the reason her boyfriend is getting divorced and that I hope his ex takes everything. I am still not living at home. I have my own apartment and I'm filing for a divorce. Now that I know how she feels, it is kind of a slap in the face that she is blaming me for his divorce. Fucking so crazy. I think the only thing that OP is an a-hole for is giving this wife a second chance. If you're going to a counseling session, the person who cheated has no leverage. There's almost 0% chance you can sit there and be like, yeah, so everything you did was wrong. You cheated on me. I think the only part I somewhat maybe disagree with is the fact that he threw away all of his belongings. Don't get me wrong, it's better than going in with a cricket bat. He did rob them, which is wrong, but like also, hey man, if you're sleeping with another dude's wife, I think you can't really complain in that situation. Am I the a-hole for getting it elsewhere since my wife didn't want to have sex anymore? My wife has decided unilaterally that we are done having sex. She found out that she cannot have kids due to a choice she made before we met, and kids apparently are the only reason she was willing to have sex. I love my wife and I enjoy being intimate with her, but it was making our marriage untenable after 2 years of this, so I posted for advice. I got a lot of great support and suggestions about how to talk to my wife. I tried a lot of it. I started going to counseling for myself as well. But no matter how I approached her about our situation, she would not try and see it from my point of view. Every discussion would end in her crying and screaming in my face that I am trying to emotionally manipulate her. I then wrote her a letter outlining my feelings and asked her to come with me for counseling, to seek it for herself, perhaps to go see a doctor. I was kind and loving in the letter. The last thing I wanted to do was to set her off. I worked on the wording with my counselor to make sure I wasn't saying anything aggressive that could be misinterpreted. Obviously, we don't know the details. Anybody who's trying to express how they feel and then the first jump that they make is you're emotionally manipulating me is the manipulator in that situation. So far, very much on OP's side. I love that he's getting counseling. I love that he's being very delicate about the situation and trying to go about it a mature way. She read the letter. Then she scrawled across it with her red Sharpie, "Go get it elsewhere because you are not getting it from me." Then she walked out. I sat there for about an hour doing nothing. Then I told myself that was what I was going to do. We are both fairly successful in our jobs. I'm not super attractive, but I'm fit and a good talker. It took a while, but I met someone. We started out as just friends, but it became physical. I made sure she knew I was married. She's not interested in a relationship, so I guess I am a safe option for her. My wife found out because I did not try and hide it. She was crying when I got home one night. When I came in, she asked if I was going to leave her. I said no. She asked if I was cheating on her, and I said I was getting sex elsewhere. She said that was cheating, and I did not disagree. I asked her what she wanted to do. She said I had to stop. I asked her if we were going to start having sex. She said I was an irrational asshole if I thought she would have sex with me after I cheated. I went to my desk and pulled out a photocopy of the letter I wrote her with an answer. Bro had receipts. Not only did he have receipts, but he had photocopied receipts. So at some point, homeboy was looking at this letter and was like, I gotta have copies of this. And he went and photocopied it. Honestly, no argument. What are you supposed to say to that? Pulled out a photocopy of the letter I wrote with her answer on it. I went to have a shower and go to my room to sleep. When I woke up, she was sitting on the couch waiting to talk. She said that she reread the letter and that she realized she had not before. She assumed it was just a letter begging her for sex. She said she would go for counseling alone and with me. All I had to do was stop having sex elsewhere. I said I would be willing to pause my friendship until we saw a counselor and that if I saw progress in our relationship, I would break it off. She said she would not agree to counseling without me leaving the other woman. It almost turned into a fight, so I just went for my run. Before I left, I asked her what would compel her to go to counseling if I stopped having sex elsewhere. When I got back, she did not have an answer. She couldn't even say that our relationship was worth saving. I don't want a divorce, but I am willing to leave over this. I am 28. I am not going the rest of my life without sex. She refuses to see my side. Yeah, bro, 28 is so... what the fuck? I'm just curious. Why doesn't homeboy want a divorce? It'd be one thing if she was very reasonable and nice and not manipulative and actually was willing to hear OP's feelings in the relationship, but she hasn't done any of that. Like, why do you want to stay with her? She sounds like an awful human. Not the a-hole for the question at hand, but you're the a-hole for not wanting to divorce this woman. Did nobody teach you self-respect? This woman is actively disrespecting the hell out of you. Go find somebody else who doesn't. It's that easy. It's ridiculous. She can't even endure the consequences of her own actions. Would I be the a-hole for dumping my girlfriend after she ignored my calls and messages and went clubbing while I was undergoing emergency surgery? We have a 22 male OP and a 22 female girlfriend. Me and my girlfriend have been together for 5 years. We've been together since high school, and until recently, I've always considered her to be my future wife. I've even bought a ring and was planning on proposing over the coming months. Well, last week it was my girlfriend's best friend's birthday. She and her friends booked a private lounge at a club. Obviously, I didn't go since 1, I wasn't invited, and 2, I hate clubbing or anything associated with that. I was actually looking forward to spending an evening alone and just binging Netflix or something. Well, my girlfriend left around 9 p.m. I just crashed on the couch and watched some YouTube. Well, around 11 p.m., I started to feel this distinct stomach pain. The same pain you experience when someone hits you in the nuts. It wasn't bad at first, and I just thought my body was playing some tricks on me. But in the span of about 5 minutes, the pain just kept getting worse until I was basically stuck in the fetal position on the couch. Again, initially, I just thought the pain would go, but then I pulled down my pants and it felt like my right testicle was starting to swell. The moment I tried to get up and grab my phone to inspect whatever the fuck was happening to me, I just collapsed to the floor. That was probably the worst pain I've ever felt in my life. Imagine being pelted in the nuts over and over again. I did manage to crawl to the table next to the couch to get my phone. I immediately tried calling my girlfriend, but she declined my call. I then texted her that something was wrong and she should come home immediately. The club she went to is like a 5-minute walk from our apartment. I just put the phone down and started throwing up because of the pain. After throwing up for like a minute, minute, it felt like the pain started to cool down a bit, and I grabbed my phone again, and that's when I saw her response. She just replied with, "What is it?" Disappointed face. I tried calling her again, but as expected, she just declined again. I then texted her that I needed to go to the hospital now. She then asked for what, and I just replied with, "My balls hurt." I then just dialed for emergency services. I explained my situation to the emergency responder, and she asked if there was somebody that could drive me to the hospital, and I stupidly said yes. I thought my girlfriend would be home soon, and she would drive me to the hospital. I felt embarrassed to call an ambulance because my balls hurt. After I told the emergency responder this, she then told me she would call again in 10 minutes to make sure I was being driven to the hospital. I then put down the phone and went back to vomiting on our carpet. Again, after the pain went away for a bit, I checked my phone and saw that my girlfriend just responded with laughing emojis. I again tried to call her, but as expected, she just declined again. She texted me that this wasn't the time to play games, and she then told me that if I texted or called her again, she would block my number. I again tried calling her, but she declined again, and when I tried calling her a second time, I realized she actually blocked me. I went back to curling up on the floor, and now I started shivering. At this point, I didn't care about being embarrassed and just called emergency services again and asked for an ambulance. It felt like an eternity, but the ambulance eventually came and rushed me to the hospital. I don't remember much of the surgery since I was sedated, but I remember waking up eventually and my right testicle was being stitched together. The doctor informed me that I had testicular torsion, and I was extremely lucky to reach the hospital in time, and I could have easily been forced to surgically remove my testicle. I have to look up what testicular torsion is because I have no clue and I am now terrified. During testicular torsion, a testicle rotates, twisting the spermatic cord that brings blood to the scrotum. The reduced blood flow causes sudden and often severe pain and swelling. When blood flow has been cut off for too long, a testicle might become so badly damaged that it has to be removed. What, like, how does it happen? It's not clear why testicular torsion occurs. Most males who get testicular torsion have an inherited trait that allows the testicle to rotate freely inside the scrotum. This inherent condition often affects both testicles. Not every male with the trait will have testicular torsion. Testicular torsion often occurs several hours after vigorous activity, after a minor injury to the testicles, or while sleeping. Cold temperature or rapid growth of testicle during puberty also may play a role. So, sounds like shit could just happen. All right, well, I have now read a thing that makes me want to cry. I checked my phone and saw the missed calls and messages my girlfriend left me. In summary, she came home from clubbing and smelled the vomit in our apartment. When she saw the vomit on our carpet, she got mad and tried searching the apartment to find me. When she realized I wasn't there, only then did it hit her that I was actually being serious. I just texted her in which hospital I was staying in and my room number, then went to sleep. I woke up the next morning and saw my girlfriend sleeping on a couch next to my bed. After she woke up, she started bombarding me with apologies. She thought I was joking, that I was trying to ruin her night, etc. I didn't have the energy to argue, so I just kept quiet. I was beyond hurt by what she did, and I wanted to break up with her then and there. Why the fuck would somebody ignore messages where their partner is begging them to come home? Not only that, she stayed in the club until 3 a.m. and didn't even consider going home to check on me. She did stay with me in the hospital for the remaining 2 days I was admitted there, and did take good care of me, but I was still beyond pissed at her. Ever since coming home yesterday, I've been wanting to dump her, but at the same time, I feel like she genuinely thought I was joking and made a mistake. I feel conflicted and don't know how to proceed in this situation. I'm trying to decide if this sentence here is a good enough communication of what's happening, because I don't think it is. The verdict that I'm leaning towards right now is everyone sucks here. The way the girlfriend blocked OP is just like, what the fuck? Like, that's so immature. That's disrespectful. But this line right here is not a very good communication of the severity of the situation. Other than him being like, I need to go to the hospital, this could have been a line of like, my balls hurt. I need you to come over here and help me with them. Haha. You know, OP has the right to be mad at her. Maybe they have a conversation around you shouldn't block your partner if they're texting you while you're at a club. That's the part that I would be the most mad about. I think if he would have been like, I'm in such bad pain, I'm vomiting on the carpet, please come take me to the hospital or I will call an ambulance for myself. That's how you communicate that. Although I will say, for the girlfriend not to be like, this is weird, I should call my boyfriend, and instead block him, the only way her response would maybe be merited is if OP has tried to lie in the past to get her to come home, and this is like a boy cries wolf thing, but we also don't know if that's what happened. Let's actually look at the comments of this one. I'm actually very curious. Not the a-hole. Not walking a total 10 minutes to check on your significant other after your text is nuts, unless you've cried wolf before. Even if she thought you were joking, you deserved a phone call. Your partner should be worried about you versus why are you ruining my night? Have you ever done this before? She should have called to confirm something was or was not wrong when you said hospital. I would really consider better if you want to continue this relationship. She prioritized partying over a phone call. Am I the a-hole for saying I would divorce my wife in 4 years? We have a 43 male OP and a 45 female wife. Me and my wife were having some drinks outside the other day and we were having a good time. She said, I wish I brought my cigarettes, and I pulled them out of my pocket as I had anticipated that she would want to smoke. She said, wow, how did you know? I said, I can see the future, especially when you're drinking. She said, can you see our relationship's future? I said, of course. So she asked me, will we still be together or will we be divorced? I said, probably divorced. And she asked, when? So I said, I'll probably be tired of Peter's shit in about 4 years and have to bounce. Peter is my wife's son from a previous marriage. He is 24 years old. Me and my wife have been together for 21 years. I have raised this boy as my own, and he has called me dad since he was 5. We have a great relationship. Never had the, you're not my real dad fight. We are good. However, I feel like my wife coddles him and he is failing to launch, so to speak. He is in uni, but he has never had a job. His social circle is like 5 people that he is constantly online with. He very rarely leaves the house or his room for that matter. My wife has to remind him to shower every day, and she has to wake him up every day. He will not wake up to an alarm, mainly because he is usually up until 6 or 7 a.m. playing online games. He is not a bad kid. He doesn't drink/smoke/do drugs. He is not an incel. He doesn't listen to Andrew Tate. He's just kind of a nerdy shut-in. My wife is happy to have him live at home forever. I am not. I am very worried for him. He cannot drive and does not want to learn. He is comfortable in his life and sees no reason to grow. I stress the fact that he is an adult now to my wife many times, but he will always be her baby. Honestly, it's killing me to watch her enable him. Every time I try to encourage him to get a part-time job or to get out of the house, she tells me off and asks me to leave him alone. I feel like a failure as a parent, but she is happy he is staying out of trouble. He could do so much more though. He is very bright. I will say to her, what if we died tomorrow? What would happen to him? He would have to do a lot of growing up very quickly. Maybe we should push him a little bit now, but she won't hear it. Anyway, she lost her shit on me. How could you divorce me because of Peter? He will be fine. Everyone develops at different speeds, etc. I get it. I know. I think she also feels like we failed him by over providing and she doesn't want to hear it. But guys, I can't sit around forever if this is the trajectory. I pray he snaps out of it, finishes uni. He's now a junior at year 4. He doesn't take a full course load. Yes, we are paying everything. Gets a job and grows up. But if not, I can't see myself supporting him and her forever. I feel like leaving might actually be good for both of them. I contribute 80% to the household finances. She works part-time. Anyway, I don't really think it will come to that. I have faith in the kid. I was just 50-50 joking and serious with my 4-year timeline. 4 years is a long time, right? The fact that she was upset is upsetting to me. Does she think he'll be doing the exact same stuff 4 years from now? She thinks I'm an a-hole because I'm giving an ultimatum and she doesn't care how long he stays at home. I want to say you're the a-hole for saying you would divorce your wife in 4 years. Nobody wants to fucking hear that. The wife was probably trying to be all cutesy. She was like, oh my god, you predicted the future. Like, oh, what is our future gonna be like? And she was probably expecting you to be like, oh, we're gonna grow old together and we're gonna be in love forever and we're gonna have so many grandkids. Like, that was the answer she was looking for, bro. But instead you're like, we'll be divorced. And I know the timeline. We'll be divorced in 4 years. My brother in Christ, what are we doing? Why would you think that's an appropriate answer? I don't think OP's the a-hole for having this perspective, because I actually kind of agree with him. I kind of do agree that this wife is clearly coddling the kid way too much, and homeboy does have to do a little bit of damage control. I think it's completely okay for you to have a man-to-man speech with Peter and be like, hey, you're becoming an adult. We're not going to be around forever. God forbid something happens to us tomorrow. I would just like to work with you to help figure out how we can move forward, for you to realize that your mom's mentality is bad. I'm completely okay with going behind your wife's back for the sake of your child, because I do think there is a strong possibility homeboy ends up being a dud. I have hurt my wife deeply and I need help fixing it. We got a 21 male OP and a 22 female wife. My wife and I have been together since we were in middle school. We have loved each other unconditionally the entire time, but I have been slowly slipping and screwing up time after time. I need help to fix this and build our relationship to what it was before, but make it stronger and better. Here are the biggest things that happened to lead us to now. We talked about a push present for when my son was being born. I did not get her anything for it, even after she expressed wanting one, and I had told her I'd get something. In my defense, I was about to be deployed, so it was a lot going on, but still, it was our first child, and she didn't want anything big, just something to show I cared and loved her. I told her I'd make it up to her and never did. First Mother's Day, she celebrated as a new mom. I didn't do any decorations, and I got her only a bakeware pan, which was shipped broken. She liked the dish, but it was broken. I told her I'd return it for a new one and never did. I told her I'd make it up to her and never did. did. Hey man, I'm hearing a lot of never dids. Have you ever tried always doing? She gave me a very intimate gift for Valentine's Day. I showed little to no reaction. We were already having a few issues in bed due to ED caused by stress and anxiety, so she was trying to help by giving me a boudoir photo book that she put a lot of effort into. I told her I'd make it up to her and never did. This is actually understandable. I don't even think that's something that you need to make up to her, but like, make her feel appreciated and sexy. She wants you to be like, this is the sexiest shit I've ever seen in my entire life. I'm gonna go beat my meat. It's literally that easy. Then more recently, we had a date planned for lunch on a day I had off. She would be out of work for lunch around 12 to 12:30. I went to a card shop about 20 minutes away from her work, thinking I was right down the road. We recently moved, so I was confused, but still. Well, she was happy to see me and go on the date just to walk outside and realize I wasn't there and wouldn't be there for another 20 minutes. I told her I'd make it up to her, and I never did. If you haven't noticed the pattern yet, I have a problem with saying I will make it up and dropping the ball over and over after dropping the ball on the major things. I do not want to lose my wife because of broken promises and selfishness. The straw that broke the camel's back, though, was tonight, actually. We planned on spending time together for New Year's, and instead I was selfish and played online with my cousins for hours, which ate away at our time together. Then when she expressed she was upset about it, I didn't even try to talk to her about it. I pretty much just shrugged and tried to move past it. Then we just went to get ready for bed. Missed the clock turning to midnight, no kiss or anything, just let it pass. I let my wife go into the new year upset and questioning if I truly loved her or if I was with her for convenience. I love the woman more than I could ever express in any conceivable manner. I would do anything for her. I would hike the tallest mountain just to get her the flower she wants at the top that only grows there. I would give her the clothes from my back and the breath in my lungs to make sure she was comfortable and could breathe. She is an absolute angel. Clearly fucking not. I would climb the tallest mountain just to get her the flower that she likes, but you can't even fucking get her a $20 present when she's pushing out your child out of her vagine? Don't say this shit because it's just not true. She has given me every chance every time. She is the smartest, sweetest, most beautiful, amazing woman I have ever known. She still gives me butterflies when I look at her, when I think of her, when I kiss her. She loves me and she shows me how much she loves me. I have never questioned our love and I cannot ever forgive myself for making her question mine. Why do I keep fucking up and hurting us both? I need help. How do I fix this? I never want her to question my love for her or our relationship again. I feel like I'm losing the love of my life. She is perfect in my eyes, my dream girl. I don't want to lose her. I can't lose her. Yo, bro, started off by putting all of this into a card and giving it to her. All of this doesn't look like something that he can't actively do now. Even if it's been a year, go down this list and fulfill it. Here's your push present. I know it's a year or two late, but here it is. I'm sorry I didn't get it to you sooner, but I'd much rather give it to you now than never. It's literally that easy. In the time that you wrote this Reddit post, you could have just solved your issues. And I think the bigger issue here is that you have to come to a Reddit post to figure out something that I figured out in 5 minutes. Am I the a-hole for wanting to divorce my postpartum wife? It's stupid to think I'm at this point, but here I am. My soon-to-be ex-wife, 28 female, and I, 29 male, have wanted kids for years and were thrilled when she finally got pregnant last year. From day one, I wanted to be the most supportive husband and future father I could. Her father was never involved in her life. I used to work as a tech in labor and delivery, and my brother, to put it kindly, is not the most involved father. I saw too many problems up close when it came to lacking husbands, and I would be damned before I made the same mistakes. The problem is roughly 4 weeks into her pregnancy, everything started going downhill. Number one, she stopped wanting sex. Fair enough. Hormones and stress make that a problem. I went full stop. But then she didn't want any physical interaction. No cuddling, no kissing, slowly becoming more and more distant. That's weird, but I think with pregnancy, anything goes, you know? I would be more concerned if that continued further on after the pregnancy. Number two, her eating constantly changed and she was terrible about it. She would demand I get her something all day. Then the moment I gave it to her, she wants something else, screaming at me. 3, she never let me go to any appointments. No groups she went to, spent more time away. 4, became cold and bitter, constantly angry at me. This went on for months. 5, slapped me a couple times when I forgot one of her dozens of tasks she assigned me during the day. Stopped doing anything for the house a month into the pregnancy. Sure, she's pregnant. I get it, moving around is hard, but she wouldn't even do laundry about 4 weeks in, and by 5 weeks, I did everything. I'm also the primary source of income. I barely sleep. I'm running on fumes. 6, made me sleep in the guest room. Would always try and pick fights. I never once raised my voice, my hand, or my tone. I sat there and constantly, mentally reminded myself this isn't her, and this would all be worth it. 7, she didn't want me to make any baby decisions. No name, no work on the nursery, nothing. I don't know. So far, I'm like, stuff like this could happen while you're pregnant, and you do have to be understanding, but also it's getting a little too much. 1 month before she delivered, she yelled how effing useless I am and how I don't do anything and that she's staying with her mother. She didn't let me get her anything, come check on her, threaten to divorce me, and get a restraining order if I even call her. A couple weeks back, I found out about the birth of my son from a Facebook post. Finding out about the birth of your child from a Facebook post would be wild. Because you're telling me you didn't tell them about it before you went into labor, after you birthed the baby. There's just so many opportunities to just like, hey man, your child came into this world. Like, what? She posted it with her mother and some family. It effing broke me. I tried to go to the hospital and visit. They had security kick me out. After months of outright hatred, anger, and abuse thrown at me 24/7, I effing had it. Odds are I'm not even on the birth certificate. Oh, here comes the boy. Oh, he's coming to snuggle. This is basically Beans' stream, guys. I don't make the rules. Beans makes all the rules. Odds are I'm not even on the birth certificate. I opened a new account and all my deposits go there. I took half out of our joint account. She never bought baby stuff ahead of time. Who knows what that money was going towards? So now that she has to buy supplies for our own son, she's used up every cent. I've gotten a lawyer. The house is mine. I'm the only one who spent money on it in any way. I've sent the rest of her stuff to her mother's house. I'm demanding a paternity test. I'm not spending another damn cent until I get verification it's my son. I'm absolutely divorcing her. She chose the stay-at-home life. If she cheated, she's screwed. Her mother has money for a couple weeks stay, not even close enough for full-time support. If he is my son, I will absolutely be getting my rights as a father for a relationship. Last week, my soon-to-be ex called. She was practically hyperventilating. She wanted to come home. She was crying how it was all a mistake. She's not staying with her mother. She's at a friend's house. She wants to come home. She wants our son to have his father. I told her I don't effing believe he is my son. Why the F would she pull this stuff if he is? Show me a paternity test and I'll do everything I can for him and him only. She wants to meet tomorrow at a park so I can talk to her. I said sure, so I can finally say everything I should have said months ago to her face. My parents are hoping we can make up, but they absolutely understand if I won't. My brother is a deadbeat jackass, so I don't care what he has to say, but my sister thinks I should at least hear her out. I will say I am pro hear her out. With that being said, she's going to have to conjure up a miracle of an excuse for the reason for not only treating OP in the worst possible way you can treat a human being, but also for making him miss the birth of his son. That was like the icing on the cake. Everything that he was listing, I was like, okay, that's rough, but like you can get over it, or you can justify that with hormones. But I think you took that extra step across when homeboy figured out that his child was born from a Facebook post. That's still crazy to me, dude. I'm going with not the a-hole. I think there would have been a good argument for everyone sucks here until the Facebook thing. Am I the a-hole for breaking up with my girlfriend over her younger sister? I broke up with my girlfriend 5 days ago due to her sister's behavior. Me and my ex have been dating for the last 2 years. During this time, her sister has come on to me multiple times. I'm not completely sure about the amount of times, but it was almost every time I saw her. I have told the sister multiple times to leave me alone and to stop her behavior as I don't do the cheating thing, but that did nothing. I've spoken to my ex about it multiple times. She even caught her sister in the act of trying to lock me in a room with herself. Nothing changed. I've spoken to their parents about it and that the behavior of the youngest daughter is unacceptable, and again, nothing happened. I'm not going to lie and say the sister was ugly. No, she is actually really beautiful, but I am 100% sure I have not led her on or anything. Even when I greeted her, I gave her a side hug every single time. I've never been in a room alone with her or anything. I just kept my distance from her at all costs. I don't have her on Instagram, Facebook. I don't even have her cell phone number. We have never shared a text or phone call. Her family gave me a stupid nickname, the puppy, because I follow my girlfriend around everywhere when we are over at their house. The only reason I follow her is is because her sister's behavior seemed to stop when she is around. I've told her that I will stop going over to her parents' house because that is where the problems are and I want no part of it. She didn't like that idea and sulked around the house for weeks because I didn't want to go with her. At no point in time did I tell her she can't go. I just said I wasn't going with her. I relented 5 days ago and went over. We had too much to drink and slept over at the parents' house that night. The morning I woke up with the sister completely naked in bed next to me. I stormed out of the room and down to the kitchen and told her we are done in front of her parents. She was silent for what seemed like minutes and started to break down asking why. All I said was go look in that room, and I stormed out of the house and got in my car. It took less than 2 minutes, then the calls started to come in, not just from her, but her parents as well. I didn't answer any of the calls. When I got home 40 minutes later, I had 108 missed calls from her and her parents and 36 messages, 2 from her parents. The messages from her parents just apologized to me saying they thought I was joking about the sister every time I brought it up and they didn't believe me. All I got from my now ex was sorry and she will handle it and it will never happen again. I shouldn't leave. We can work through this. I'm just done. She has even gotten my family involved and our friend. 90% of everyone is on her side saying I'm overreacting and I'm the a-hole for dumping her. We can sort this out. I sent her a message that she has until this Sunday to get her things out of my house. I'm just done. Surprisingly, she has not sugarcoated anything and explained everything correctly to everyone, but I'm still in the wrong for leaving her. Her parents in their messages are angry at me for hurting their daughter. My family is angry because they love her, and our friends are angry because I refuse to take her back and saying I'm overreacting. 2 years of this crap and I'm overreacting. Am I the a-hole? I do want to point out that OP was being sexually harassed. In a situation where it was the girl being harassed instead of the guy, it would have been handled way different. I think he isn't an a-hole, but I think he also overreacted. If it's the true wake-up call that it seems to be, I do think he should give it another chance as long as like the family is willing to cut out the sister. But I don't think he's an a-hole for just being like, this was my final straw. Because I don't think he should have to deal with her again. You've been sexually harassed for the last 2 years. I don't know what the law is where you live, but what the sister did may reach sexual assault. I can't imagine that taking all your clothes off and climbing into bed with someone without their knowledge or consent is legal. I would look into making a police report immediately before you're the one accused. She sounds mentally unwell in addition to being a criminal. No mentally and emotionally healthy person would rug sweep all of this. It's insanely disrespectful to ignore your distress. Not the a-hole, clear as day. Please have nothing to do with any of these horrible people. Take your police report and look into getting some type of no contact order against the whole unhinged family if they persist in contacting you. My God. If your girlfriend or her parents had walked in while you were still asleep, it would be an entirely different ballgame. You would have been accused of who knows what. The one question I'm going to ask here is, where was the girlfriend in all this? I want to know timelines and specifics too, because that's pretty important. Were they in separate beds and the sister got in there? Were they in the same bed, but then the girlfriend woke up early and then while she was up and about, the other sister hopped into bed naked with her? I don't think he's the a-hole, and the reaction is probably a feeling of betrayal for the partner not backing him up more before the final straw. I think the disrespect part really got me. If your partner's coming to you for 2 years being like, your sister is making me uncomfortable. Am I the a-hole for cutting my mother-in-law off because she told my daughter she hoped I had died when I was taken to the hospital? I, 30 female, was in a car crash. I had to be cut out of the car. Thankfully, I wasn't seriously injured though. But the other person unfortunately wasn't doing too well from what I saw before I was taken away to the hospital. I was told to stay in the hospital overnight to see if I suffered from a concussion. I rang my husband and told him what happened. My mother-in-law got the incidents mixed up when he dropped off our daughters 6 and 11 to my mother-in-law while he rushed to see me. Next morning, my husband brought our daughters to come get me while I was waiting to be discharged. Upon seeing my 6-year-old busted into tears and said, I don't want you to die. I comforted her and said I'm not dying, and I was very lucky. She then said Granny said she hoped I died so that them and my husband can come live with her. Me and my husband were shocked, and my 12-year-old confirmed she heard her say that. My husband said he was going to ring mother-in-law. When he came back in the room, he looked furious, but didn't say anything until after we got home, and he said mother-in-law denied it, but after he kept pushing, she ended up admitting it. But she said she didn't mean it. I thought me and her were close, but I guess not. I am incredibly hurt she would want that, and said I wanted me and my daughters to go no contact with my mother-in-law. I told him he can have a relationship with her, but I don't want me and the girls to have one with her. My husband said he supports me. He then rang mother-in-law and told her what I said. She didn't take it too well. She came to our house crying and saying it was a misunderstanding and she didn't mean it and that we were taking it the wrong way. My husband asked, what did you mean then? She just got hysterical and started crying and saying she always wanted daughters, but my husband was the only child due to her not being able to have any more after him, and that the girls are more like her daughters than granddaughters. And she wasn't thinking properly when she said that to our 6-year-old. She got so worked up that my husband husband had to take her home. When he got back, he said he didn't know she felt like that and asked did I still want to cut her off. I said yes. He said okay and didn't argue. It's been a week now and he's still very quiet and hasn't said much about what happened, and now I'm starting to feel guilty and wondering if I did take it the wrong way. Am I the a-hole? I don't really understand the mom's logic. You should never wish for the death of a family member that you supposedly have a good relationship with. Not the a-hole. I think it's fair to be like, I don't want you around my children. W husband for being like, I'm sticking with my wife on this. Maybe it's okay to open up a conversation of like, hey, if you need to kind of have a wind down period with your mother instead of completely cold turkeying cutting her off, I think you need to have a conversation to make sure your husband isn't holding resentment for you, because I think that's the biggest problem that I see potentially happening. First update, I decided to talk to my husband and asked if he's upset that I decided that me and my girls go no contact with mother-in-law. He said he wasn't. He said he always knew mother-in-law wanted a daughter instead of him, and it brought back all the bad memories of rejection and hurt he felt growing up as a kid by her. I suggested therapy and he's willing to go. We are also going to get therapy for our 6-year-old as she now gets anxious if I'm not within her sight. My husband agreed that going no contact with mother-in-law is the best thing for our family. Our daughter's birthday is coming up and we have yet to tell mother-in-law she is no longer invited. Not looking forward to that. Okay, so it's good that the husband isn't harboring resentment for OP. Update 3, mother-in-law has been arrested. My husband cousin found my post, knew it was me, and reported it straight to mother-in-law. Yeah, we know it was you who told her, Christina. Margaret told us all about it when she came over and screamed we can't keep her daughters from her. She didn't even hesitate to drop your name and throw you under the bus. So much for loyalty, huh? You are not welcome in my home anymore and you are officially removed from Sam's birthday list and our lives. How about you show the whole family this post so they can see how two-faced you are? Calling somebody out on a Reddit post is fucking hilarious. Totally get it, but like, girl, you're dropping real names here. I'm here for the drama. I'm here for the smoke, but maybe we should send this in a text message. Mother-in-law has been arrested. She came to our house screaming we can't keep her daughters from her. Husband tried to calm her down and get her to leave. She wouldn't and attacked him. My husband had to restrain her and I called the police. She fought them, but it got her nowhere except the back of their car. The woman is truly insane. My husband had to talk to the police because I had to calm down my daughters because they witnessed the whole thing. My 6-year-old was hysterical about Granny being taken away. This is all just a big mess. Okay, so not exactly the fairy tale ending, but at least the mother-in-law's true colors are coming out here and they can act appropriately. Am I the a-hole for continuing to purposefully take a libido decreaser now that my wife has changed her mind? My 39 male, wife 40 female, and I have been married for 15 years. Had a fantastic sex life for 8 to 10 years, but then we got busy with kids and employment and things sort of fizzled out to maybe once every 6 to 8 weeks. My sex drive isn't crazy high, but I'll be honest, 6 to 8 weeks was killing me. I felt like the list of things that had to be checked off my wife's list to get things going was impossible to fulfill. I feel like the list would go on and on as new excuses and reasons were added on why she just wasn't down for anything. I was by far the only initiator for the last few years and would get turned down 9 times out of 10. I work and my wife stays home with the kiddos, which works well for us. I attempted discussions with her about the situation and asked what else she needed from me, how we would spice things up, what we could do to increase our romance and intimacy, etc. The answer was always just that she never really thought about sex anymore and wasn't all that interested. I know it's not my place to pressure her into things she's not comfortable with, so after years of this, I eventually started to take care of myself, and she found out one day and flipped out about it. We had a conversation and she requested I didn't do that. I'm real non-confrontational, so I agreed, albeit made me frustrated and mildly depressed that we couldn't come to a middle ground. To make things worse, I had different women at work come onto me very strongly in the middle of all of this. I would never cheat, but I'd be lying if I said it didn't tempt me for a moment in my frustration. Eventually, I knew I needed to do something drastic to keep my marriage strong, and I got with my doc and started taking a medicine that decreases my libido significantly. I'll be honest, it's been very freeing. Now I hardly ever think about sex. My wife, however, is angry that I'm not physically coming after her and attempting to initiate, etc. like I did before. She asked me to stop taking it and I flat out refuse. I love that I don't feel negative about the situation anymore because it doesn't preoccupy my mind like it did before. I honestly don't ever want it to go back to how it was before. Am I being an a-hole by sticking with it? The one thing from this post that I'm picking up is that OP is like a problem solver. You can't go up to the girl and be like, lay out an MLA formatted essay on everything that you need to get turned on. That's not how it works. It's more like, get dressed up in something nice tonight. We're gonna go out to dinner, romance her a little bit, buying flowers, and those little things build up to a better sex life. Maybe it says says something about your guys' marriage. Maybe she thinks it's unfair that you're hawking the kids off on her and she's internalizing it, or maybe she's not attracted to you anymore and that marriage needs to end. This is the part where I was like, now the wife's not looking that great, because for you to be like, I don't want to have sex, but also I don't want you to be taking care of yourself to compensate for me not wanting to have sex with you. Something about that is weird. It just feels slimy. This part, on one hand, it kind of seems like OP's being like, I'm that fucking guy. Girls are coming on to me and I would never cheat. I'm that fucking guy. That's kind of the vibe that I was getting. But I also think it's very self-aware for him to be like, hey, I'm feeling this way. I would never cheat, but I feel this way because of everything happening. And I don't like that. I think that's okay. And then everything in this paragraph, girl, homeboy is trying to find a way to work with this, and you're doing everything in your power to make sure that doesn't happen. What are we doing? If I'm doing the Reddit thing where I'm reading into this, it almost feels like she's trying to maybe like force him to divorce her by doing everything that she can, however I can make it so that you are the bad guy. That's what it feels like to me. From this post, I'm more on OP's side than anything. Am I the a-hole for digging in my heels about sex in a prenup? I honestly can't believe I'm asking this, but my boyfriend has gotten so mad that I'm feeling a little crazy now. Both 34, he had a terrible marriage before me that ended in a dead bedroom, and he's determined to never go back to that life again. Understood. I think that sucked for him to experience. So now he wants a prenup and literally write in the prenup that we will have sex X amount of times in a week or else I get absolutely nothing in the divorce. I had already agreed to a 50-50 prenup of marital assets and we keep what we came into the marriage with. Now that's not enough for him. He wants me to prove that I won't stop having sex with him in the future. I tell him I can't prove the future, and putting something in writing doesn't prove that. Now he says I must have a guilty conscience if I won't sign these terms, because if I'm so certain it won't happen, then what's the problem? But to me, it makes me feel like a sex slave and not a loved wife or partner. Hey man, that's not how consent works. What the fuck? If I were the lawyer and some guy was like, so I want to put a sex clause in there where she has to have sex with me X amount of times per week or else they get nothing in the divorce, I would be like, what the fuck? Get out of my office. If that were me, I'd be like, oh, well, if you get your own add to the prenup, I get my own, and I would make up something ridiculous. If you don't wake up before 7 a.m. X amount of times per week, then you get nothing in the divorce. Not the a-hole. I would reevaluate the entire relationship. Am I the a-hole for not telling my girlfriend I was gonna break up with her if she went on vacation with male friends? Basically, my girlfriend went on vacation with her male friends. I told her this made me uncomfortable and didn't want her to go. By the way, she used to hook up with one of them before we met. She told me it'd be fine and that they are like brothers to her. Nah, babe, it's fine. We're like brothers, but I fucked one of them. I already made the decision to break up with her right there and then, but I wanted to get my stuff from her place before anything, and I figured I should do that while she's gone. I also didn't want to break up over text or call, so I waited for her to come back. I picked her up when she came back, dropped her off, and gave her the key to her place back and broke up. She started crying, and she figured out it was because of the vacation. She kept saying that nothing happened. I told her she knew I wasn't comfortable with this, and she still went. She mentioned that I should have said that I'd break up with her if she went, and that if she knew, she never would have gone. I told her I didn't want to be controlling and threaten her with ending the relationship. We kept going back and forth over this for a while. A lot of y'all are assuming an awful lot here. Most of y'all are cool, but we'll give you a bit more context. 1, she never actually introduced me to these friends, even though I mentioned I wanted to meet them. She kept making excuses. 2, she never told me she used to hook up with her friend. I only found out because I found an old pic of them kissing when she was showing me some old travel pics. 3, I was okay with their friendship until now. This was just too much for me. Most of y'all are cool, but I swear some of y'all act like cheaters don't exist. Did she cheat on me? Who knows? But at this point, I was sick of doubting. I'm gonna go with not the a-hole here, but there are some little things I want to know that could potentially change my verdict. I think OP's right here in trusting their gut and getting out of there while they still can. What I will say is, 1, I need to know how long they've been dating. I think that's super important. If you haven't met the friends and it's been 3 months, a little sus, but like, okay, there's room for error there. You guys have been dating for a year and you haven't met these friends? Okay, that's extremely sus. That shouldn't be the case. The other part is like, when was this planned? If they were planning this trip for months before OP and this girlfriend got together, then it's like, okay, you don't want to lose money out on it. Like at that point, I think you just got to trust your partner type of thing. It's still question mark, but I can understand why she's like, I need to go. Number 3, why didn't OP go on the vacation? Was there the conversation of if OP could come? Was it possible? Was it allowed? Was it like a financial thing? Like I kind of want to know all these intricate details before I can be 100% on the not the a-hole, but I'm about 75% 95% not the a-hole. The girlfriend seems extremely immature to be like, why didn't you just tell me? Like, you shouldn't have to tell somebody, hey man, it's weird that you're going on vacation with somebody that you used to hook up with. That's going to give me anxiety. That's going to give anybody with half a brain cell anxiety. You should be able to put that together, and it's almost disrespectful to do that to your partner. Relevant comments here. Did she invite you on this vacation? She didn't really invite me. I tried to invite myself, but I couldn't go due to work. Was it just her and the guys or others too? Her other friends couldn't make it, including female friends. Would she have been okay if you went on the vacation with a bunch of girls, including one you used to hook up with without her? I don't know. I've never put her in that position to begin with. Not the a-hole. Also, the fact that she claimed she wouldn't have gone if she knew you'd break up with her over it doesn't make it better. It makes it worse. It shows she doesn't care how it affects you unless it becomes a problem for her too. That is zero integrity, and that is not long-term partner material. It should not take you leaving or thinking about leaving for her to not dismiss your feelings. The update was 3 days after the original post. Her male friend reached out to me on Instagram, the one she used to hook up with. He asked if I was dating my ex, and I told him what happened. He actually apologized. He said he didn't know that we were still dating. He said that my ex was talking mad shit about me, and he was confused. Apparently, my ex-girlfriend told him we broke up months ago, and that they have been hooking up regularly since. Yes, including the trip. The guy even showed me some pics of the two of them kissing during the trip. So that explains why she never wanted me to meet them. So all my suspicions were correct. The guy actually seemed like a decent guy. He apologized a lot for what he did. I don't hold any resentment towards him, and I'm glad that I got confirmation that I made the right decision. So to all you who supported me, thanks a lot. I appreciate it. And one last comment from some of you, my insecurity kept me from wasting any more of my time. Told my wife, female 35, that she couldn't do it without me, male 34. Turns out she can. I made one stupid, selfish comment to my wife a week or so ago, and now my life is in disarray. My wife is in some crisis. Her work is closed and she's being paid, but she's home with our kids now, including one 3-year-old. She gets breaks on Monday and Friday with childcare. We went into having kids knowing she wanted to be a working mother, so this has been an adjustment to say the least. She spent a long day with our kids and the neighboring kids, and when I came upstairs from work and she asked for a break, I didn't respond well. I made excuses and didn't offer help, and for the first time in years, my wife lost her temper and cursed at me. Like an idiot, I dug in and thought I was right. I admit we both said some unkind things, but after Reddit humbled me and she made me sit down and write a list of things I did for the family that day and compared it with her. Longer list. I apologized. She accepted and I figured things would go back to normal. They haven't. My wife used to include me in parenting our kids. I did dance pickup most weeks and bedtime was split. I gave baths, made dinner, all the stuff. Since our fight, my wife hasn't asked me for any help with the kids. The first morning I woke up on what was supposed to be my morning with the kids, I figured she was just being nice or trying to prove a point, but it keeps happening. She didn't even send them down to say goodnight last night. Normally my wife does this silly game where she sends my son to ask me to read 5 books, and then we would negotiate down to 1 or 2 and race upstairs. Last night I heard her racing him and came up to find her doing bedtime yet again. The kids haven't even noticed. It's like she's replacing me. When we were fighting, I said something really dumb that's living inside me and festering. My wife was being nasty and said, "You wouldn't see the kids a quarter as much as you do if I didn't arrange it, and I'm done managing you." I defended myself. I'm not an absent parent, and said something along the lines of, "I'd like to see how long you can manage without me." Consider my foot officially in my mouth. She started running again. She's cooking really healthy, and often every night I come home to my perfectly happy Stepford wife doing it all without me, and I feel empty inside. How do I fix this? I don't know where to begin. At this point, I want to beg her to go back to how things were. This wasn't what we agreed on. When I was reading this, my reaction wasn't, this guy is a devil. My reaction was, this is like 110% a himbo. This guy floats through life not being aware of the shit that's happening around him. He can't come to the conclusions himself. Like, he needs someone to tell him exactly what to do. I think he just needs to figure out, you can't sit there and wait to be asked to do things. You just have to go and do them. Let's read this edit. Believe it or not, I want to be a good father and husband. I've royally fucked up and I see that and fully admit it. This is going to be my only edit, and then I'm going to get off my phone for a while and focus my attention on my family. My wife had dinner cooked when I got home. Everything is fine between us, so there wasn't really any tension. After we cleaned up, I went upstairs and ran my wife a bath, put Taylor Swift on her Alexa, and lit a few candles. I told her to go relax upstairs for the night. She was surprised, but smiled and went on her way. I'm currently on the toilet watching my kids take a bath. People mentioned love bombing, etc., but I'm just trying anything I can to show her I do appreciate and love her and our family, and I want to be a present father. I'm going to do bedtime tonight and probably all next week. I'll tell her she does so much during the day and deserves a break because it's the truth. I get that I come off as an asshole. I grew up in a not great situation and didn't have the best role models growing up. I'm terrified of my children not having enough, and I overcompensate by working too much. This new job came with a big pay increase, but the hours are longer, and I feel like I can never keep up. I've reached out to a few recruiters tonight. I used to love my job and was always home by 4:30. Even if it means taking the lost income, I'm thinking about going back. Relationships are hard and humans aren't perfect, perfect, for all the people telling me my kids don't love me and I'm a waste of space. I don't know, guys. Just remember, I'm an actual person. That shit's rough. Anyways, that's all I have for you folks. I need to watch these kiddos and start planning out my long road of groveling and reconnecting. This is awesome. It's very hard for me to be like, this man is a devil, when honestly, he's just dumb. I could never sit here and call someone a devil who is able to like sit back and be like, I know I'm in the wrong. I just don't know what to do here. Like, how do I fix this? What are the things that I need to do to like make my wife know that like I don't want to be the complacent father? Am I the a-hole for not inviting my trans brother to my bachelorette party or bridal shower? I, 26 female, have a sibling, 22 male, that was born with female genitalia and raised as my sister. After a lot of therapy, I have finally grieved the loss of my sister and accepted my brother for who he is and wants to be. The thing that, in my opinion, though, makes this a little weird and has been a part of my therapy is that my brother still looks and dresses more like a tomboyish girl than an actual boy. He has expressed no interest in taking hormones or doing any surgeries. He just buzzed his hair short, shops in the men's section, and gives you the silent treatment for extended periods of time if you ever refer to him as she, her, or his dead name. Well, I'm getting married and will soon be having a bridal shower as well as a bachelorette party. Last week, I was visiting my hometown and went to a family dinner with my dad, sister, and 2 brothers. One born my brother, the other my trans brother. At dinner, I was talking about how excited I was to start planning the bachelorette and bridal shower. My sister asked me who I am going to invite and what kind of party I wanted to do. I said some of my friends as well as her, and then my brother says, what about me? There was this huge awkward silence. Then my other brother, trying to keep peace, was like, aren't bachelorettes just for women? Us 3 will find something fun to do, meaning him, my dad, and trans brother. My trans brother then looked at me and said, what about the bridal shower? And my brother says, also for girls. And I just kind of looked at him and took a sip of water. Then my trans brother proceeded to get up from the table, say he was finished, and go upstairs. We haven't spoken since. Am I really the a-hole here? Isn't this what he wanted? Wouldn't it have been upsetting to him if I did invite him and then he would be like, you're not respecting my gender identity? I need more therapy. I don't know. It's so hard to accept him when he does stuff like this, and I am truly trying my hardest. Another situation where I don't think anyone did anything wrong. The communication factor in this is lacking. Like, if anything, I would call the brother an a-hole for not communicating what they were feeling at the time and just getting up and leaving instead. I went to a wedding where instead of a maid of honor, she had a man of honor. It was her gay brother at the bachelorette party. Like, he was there, he ran it. You don't need to follow the traditions if that's what both the bride wants, as well as in this case, the transgender brother wants. But they need to open up that course of discussion for that to happen. And I think it is okay if the bride only wants like a traditional women only bachelorette party and bridal shower. And I think then with what the brother decided in terms of changing their gender identity, I would say that OP did nothing wrong here. If anything, I think the a-hole verdict falls on the brother for not communicating how the news of them not being invited to something that they probably always thought they were going to be invited to, how that made them feel. Update. So after seeing a lot of these comments, I called my brother this morning to try to break the silence and see where he was coming from. The first call he declined. So I texted him saying I wanted to talk about the bachelorette and bridal shower to see where he was coming from because I know he's upset. No response. I called 2 more times and on the second time he answered. Before I could even open my mouth, he starts going into a big speech about how, like I've seen some people saying in the comments, it's 2024 and these events don't have to be gendered anymore. And I'm making an active choice not to include him by saying they're for women only and that he just wanted to be able to celebrate me and he's really hurt that I don't want that. Yes, I agree. In 2024, these events don't have to be gendered anymore. But what I will say is this is OP's wedding. If OP wants a more traditional wedding, I think the brother needs to sleep in the bed that he made. Like, hey, you decided you wanted to change your gender, but because of that transformation, that bars you from the traditional wedding that they want to have. If someone wants to live a more traditional life, I don't agree with it. You might not agree with it. Most of the world might not agree with it. But like, if there's a woman out there who's like, I just want to be married to a dude who like is my sole provider and my only purpose is to have his kids and raise his children and take care of the home, who am I to go in there and be like, no, bro, you can't do that. Hey, there's probably some dude out there who also wants that and you're gonna make them super happy. Do I agree with that? No. Would I ever want that for myself or for my sisters? No. But like, okay, then you guys do your thing. I'm just getting from this, like this person like forcing their beliefs onto OP. I don't know, I'm just not a fan of that. I said it wasn't my intention to hurt him at all, and if he wants to come, I'm not going to bar him from doing that. But I'm also not going to open up the guest list and invite other men like my other brother, dad, etc. because it's my party, and I, for reasons completely unrelated to him, I would like it to be the traditional women's only style. He then asked why I would make an exception for him, but not my other brother. I said, well, my other brother doesn't want to come. He is not interested in a party for girls, but if you are, then just tell me and I will be so happy to invite you. Then he said that's not the reason and hung up on me. I don't know, man. This person just seems like they want to be upset. I'm sorry. I am not transphobic at all. But what I will say is this is just wrong. This woman wants her party to be a traditional women's only style. If you want to come because you used to be a woman and clearly this was important for you, and then for them to put them in a catch-22 of like, why can I come and the other brother can't? Oh, well then you don't think I'm a real dude. It's just like, bro, what do you fucking want? Do you want to be treated like an actual dude, or do you want to go to this bachelorette party? Like, this person just wants to be mad at the world. If you're looking for more messy Reddit stories, click the link at the top of the description or the videos popping up on screen right now. The members of our community love these videos, and I'm sure you'll enjoy them too. Am I the a-hole for leaving photographic evidence of my husband cheating somewhere his parents should not have looked? I, female 30, kicked my husband 28 out of my house. It was my house prior to us getting married, and it remains my house now. I knew when I married him that he was bisexual. I was okay with it as long as he understood that we were monogamous. I said that I would never agree to an open relationship, and if that was what he wanted, he needed to be with someone else. He agreed and said that I was the person he wanted to be with and that I was more than enough to satisfy him. He lied. I found out he was having an affair with a man. I went through his iPad and took all the pictures for myself, graphic, in a Mapplethorpe kind of way. When I confronted him, he became physically aggressive. I was scared. He calmed down when I got Siri to call 911. He left. Anyway, I did not want him in my house again, ever. When he wanted his things, I asked him to make a list and send it to me. I found every single thing on the list. I asked him where to send the box. He said he would pick it up. I told him that I would not let him set foot in my house and that I would call the cops if he tried. He said he would send friends to get his stuff. I said I would leave his box of crap with the front desk at my work. He didn't want to make them drive into the city. We compromised and I agreed to give his parents a temporary code for my house. They are lovely people and I trusted them. I could see everything on my security system and I would know if he tried getting into my house. The deal was that they would use the code, get the box from the front entrance, then close and lock the door. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Instead, it went difficult. Difficult lemon fucked. I guess he didn't have everything on his list. He asked them to get something from my bedroom. Not the deal at all. I had my pictures of his infidelity in my room in my chest of drawers in an envelope. So to reiterate, to find these photos, his mom had to go past our agreed limit into my house. Then she had to enter my bedroom, open my chest of drawers, open an envelope, and look what was inside. I felt violated watching the video. Then I giggled like a little kid. It was hilarious. I see them come into the house, they use the code, and open the door. His dad comes in and grabs the box. He goes back to their vehicle with the box. His mom hesitates before walking into my house and going to my room. She goes to my chest and opens the top drawer where we kept a box full of jewelry. She sees an envelope with his name on it. She looks around. I'm not sure why. Then she looks at the content. She screams, I assume, since I have my feed on video only. Then she stuffs the pictures back in, closes the drawer, and goes running for the truck. My father-in-law comes to the door, locks it, and leaves. I hope that his parents aren't homophobic. I think that's the only place where I could maybe have sympathy for the husband, but like, hey bro, you brought this on yourself. I guess he never told his parents about his proclivities. To say that this has created a problem for him is to take it lightly. I got a call from him. He says I left the pictures out for his parents to find. I did not. I should have scattered them on top of the box his parents picked up, but that felt cruel and unnecessary. Like I said, I have always found them to be lovely people. I told him where the pictures were. He said that he forgot about a ring he left off the list, and he told his mom where it should be. I said I would have tossed it in the box if he had told me. He said he forgot until they were on their way. He is upset that his parents know he is a power bottom. Damn, bro. Not only did they figure out that their son likes men, but also he's a bottom. He is not happy at their house now, and he is going to find somewhere else to stay. He said, I'm an a-hole for causing this problem. I think there are other candidates for assholehood. 1, him cheating. 2, him getting his parents to go against our agreement. 3, his mom going against our agreement. 4, his mom for snooping. 5, his parents for homophobia. In no case will I ever justify homophobia. That being said, this husband is sleeping in the bed that he made. If he would have just not cheated, he would have been fine. If he would have just not broken OP's rules, he would have been good. But instead, he decided to fuck around. And boy, did he find out. Not the a-hole. I hope OP has a great rest of her life. without this husband. Am I the a-hole for canceling our honeymoon and considering divorce when my wife made out with a female friend at our wedding? I, 24 male, recently got married this last week to my wife, 24 female ex. Let's call her Sarah. Me and my wife have been together for 4 years and have only had one major issue. My wife is a drinker. She only drinks about once a week, but usually drinks way more than she can handle. When we first got together, I realized she has a habit of making out with random women when she is drunk. Now, I don't think this is sexy or exciting. I myself am bisexual, and I view this as cheating. After the second time I caught her about a few months into dating, I sat her down and told her that absolutely would not be okay as long as we were in a committed relationship. It took many conversations for her to understand that I was serious and viewed it as cheating. She promised to stop, but insists that she didn't cheat. She was good about cutting back on drinking and being more mindful of me. However, over the years, I caught her kissing 2 other women. Once, a random acquaintance, and last time, about 2 years ago, was with her best friend turned maid of honor, Brooke, female 24. Important piece of information. After I caught her the second time, I had a complete and total breakdown, and it took her coming to my therapy sessions and couples counseling for her to understand how badly she hurt me. I told her if it ever happens again, regardless of the circumstances, I was out. This brings us to the present. The wedding day comes around and it was perfect. Happiest day of our lives and whatnot. Then the reception. We, of course, got pretty drunk. Not blackout or belligerent, but definitely drunk. At some point, my wife asked me to get her pair of comfortable shoes. On my way back, I see my wife with Brooke's tongue down her throat in the middle of the dance floor with her other bridesmaids. I stomped my way into the reception, pushed Brooke out of the way, and said something along the lines of, "What the fuck are you doing?" At this point, everyone stopped and looked at us, and I just threw the shoes and walked out. Sarah chased me out, bawling hysterically. Since this has happened, I canceled our tickets and hotel reservation for our honeymoon, and I am strongly considering divorce. My lovely wife has gone from begging to crying to name calling. She ultimately decided I was a massive a-hole for embarrassing her at our wedding and throwing away our relationship over nothing. I think I'm just done this time. She's hurt me so many times and can't even see what she's doing wrong, so am I the a-hole? I know OP is bisexual, but I really want to know if his girlfriend is bisexual. Based off of him not specifying that, I think the answer is no. Yes, I think it's a little weird that this wife has this obsession with making out with other girls when she gets drunk. I don't really get it, but like, if there's no malice behind it, I think it's like, who cares? What I will say is that OP laid out his boundaries, and his boundaries were very clearly defined and emphasized to her with how important it was to him. So for her to do that, I think is unacceptable. Whether or not maybe he's overreacting might have arguments towards it, but I don't think that's the problem. The problem is that they got in this relationship, they were getting married, and one of the non-negotiables of this relationship was you have to stop making out with other girls. And that didn't happen. I'm gonna go with not the a-hole here. I think it's very realistic. Is it common and maybe was there no malice behind it? Sure. If it makes you uncomfortable and you've communicated that, you shouldn't have to be with somebody who doesn't respect that. If you did that not at your wedding, maybe you had a little bit more of an argument. But at your wedding, bro, the only person you should be making out with is the person you just married. Am I the a-hole for telling my girlfriend I will break up with her if she doesn't shave? So we got a 25 male and a 23 female. For context, I and my girlfriend have been together for a year, almost 2. When we first got together, it was great. I had literally no complaints. But something I told her early on in the relationship during a conversation about our likes and dislikes is that I don't find body hair on a woman attractive. What I mean by body hair, I'm only talking about the armpits and legs. Everything else, I don't care. I told her I don't mind stubble or just a little bit of growth, but full-blown long leg and armpit hair, I don't find attractive at all. She didn't mind that I had that preference because she told me she doesn't like the sensation of body hair on her. Well, recently she started growing out her body hair. Her armpits and legs almost feel like mine now. I've asked her multiple times about it, not to remove it straight up, but why she has been growing it out, in which she said she saw a TikTok about body positivity and it made her feel more confident. I tried to like it, but I can't. It doesn't look good. I finally told her straight up that I don't find it attractive. She didn't like that and said she doesn't want me to be like one of those men. I told her if she doesn't shave, I'm going to break up since I don't find her attractive attractive because of this. Let's just say she got extremely pissed off that I'm never gonna find a woman that shaves daily for me. Am I the a-hole? Edit 1. I never said shave daily. I even said in the post I don't care about some body hair. She had her leg and armpit hair grown out for months. All the while, I'm asking her about it. It's extremely long and not taken care of, and I cannot be forced to like it, lol. I did not straight up tell her I was going to break up with her. This was after multiple attempts of me trying to ask her about it and saying I was not attracted to it. I personally want to go with no a-holes here. At the end of the day, what is OP doing? OP is communicating to his girlfriend something that he's not attracted to. People are going to be attracted to what they're attracted to. I am a short man. I know for a fact that there are women who are not going to be attracted to me because they immediately are attracted to taller men. I don't see that any different from OP is not attracted to body hair on women. OP has what he's attracted to, and he's only communicating that to her and saying, I can't stay in this relationship if you continue to do this because I'm not attracted to you, and that's important for me. If we're gonna sit here and be like, girls can go around being like, I'm only attracted to tall dudes, like short king's not for me, that's fine. Like I'm not trying to play the victim here. If that's societally okay, I think it's also okay for OP to be like, hair on girls, not my thing, and therefore I don't want to be in a relationship with a girl who has body hair. Maybe OP is gonna be single their entire life, but at the end of the day, I think that's a completely okay boundary that OP has communicated. And if anything, it's a good thing that he communicated it instead of letting it like bleed into a whole blow up where the girlfriend feels unwanted, undesired by her partner because OP doesn't feel sexually attracted to her because of the body hair. Yeah, I think this is a good take. I think the couple clearly wasn't a good fit for each other if this is what they break up over. I don't disagree with that. I think there is an argument for if the love is even that great, if body hair is what breaks it. This person is attracted to what they're attracted to. Who are we to tell him that he should or shouldn't? Unless it's something that's really messed up, like being attracted to minors, that's different. OP added another edit. I looked through the majority of comments. I understand that I am an a-hole. I decided to break it off with her. She did not take it lightly, decided to insult me and threatened to break my stuff. She ended up leaving though after some time to stay at her mom's house. I didn't realize at the time it was fucked up of me to give her an ultimatum about this, so I deserve the insults. Thanks for the judgments though. Changed my view on this sort of topic, but I thought it would be a good thing for both of us to move on from each other. I don't see why people are saying it's not okay to give that ultimatum. Even if he didn't give her an ultimatum, it would still end in the relationship falling apart. If anything, OP is just communicating, I will never be attracted to you with body hair. So either you start shaving or we should just end this right now. I think that's better to do now than just dance around it until there's a blow up. To me, this is the ideal ending. Am I the a-hole for not wanting my mom's boyfriend anywhere near my vagina? I'm really stuck in a weird and kind of gross situation right now. I'm 18 female, finishing up high school and still living with my mom, 34 female. So a few months ago, my mom started dating this new guy who's 50. Okay, age gap weirdness aside, things got super awkward for me personally. About 3 months ago, my period started getting super bad, like talking unusually heavy bleeding and major cramps and just a lot of pain that I've never dealt with before. Obviously, I was like, okay, time to see a gynecologist because I haven't been to one since I was 15 and this isn't something to mess around with. Also, it's time to get a routine pelvic exam anyway. I told my mom thinking she'd be supportive and help me make an appointment. We live in a pretty remote rural area right now. My high school has literally like 50 students and it's like an hour drive to the nearest urgent care even. Also, the insurance I'm on sucks and I need her to help me with the copay. But nope, the next day she's like, guess what? My boyfriend can do your checkup. Yeah, turns out he used to be a board certified gynecologist, but got his license yanked away a few years back. If that's not the reddest flag I've ever seen in my entire life, a dude gynecologist who got his license revoked. And why does she want him to do it? To save money on the copay, since our insurance kind of sucks, and to avoid driving 2 hours to see a doctor in town. Now, let me be clear. This guy gives me the major creeps. He's done stuff like not knocking before entering my room, making weird jokes that are definitely not okay, and just giving me those vibes that scream, stay away. So the thought of him being all up in my business for a pelvic exam? Hell no. When I said as much to my mom, explaining there's no way I'm letting her boyfriend anywhere near me like that, she lost it. She said I was being insulting, assuming the worst about her boyfriend, and that I had hurt his feelings by suggesting he couldn't be trusted. She said I was essentially implying he's a pervert. It ended with her saying I was grounded for even thinking he was some sort of creep. So here I am, feeling stuck and kind of violating violated by the mere situation and punished on top of that? Am I the a-hole for standing my ground and not wanting her boyfriend to do the exam? Did OP say where their original dad was in this post? Jesus Christ, man, that is terrifying. Literally easiest not the a-hole ever. Like, I think it's important to be comfortable with your gynecologist and for it also to not be somebody that knows you. That's weird, bro. Terrible, terrible mom. The fact that people with this low of an IQ can have children is mind-blowing to me. Gross. Are we not gonna dive into the reason of why this man got his license revoked? You don't just get your license revoked on accident. You get your license revoked for fucking up. He could be the world's best vagina doctor. It's still super fucking gross of your mom to suggest it. Ew. That is pretty gross to be like, oh, hey, I know you be fucking me, but look at my daughter's vagina. The fact that like a child can have this shitty of a situation is terrifying. Update. I got home from school today and my mom is waiting in the living room for me, sobbing. Her boyfriend, the creep, is standing right there next to her. For background, for the past 2 years, she's been a really religious, born-again Christian type. No boys, curfew, the whole 9 yards. I've never had sex or had a boyfriend. So in between sobs, she tells me the creep talked to her today and told her that based on my symptoms, heavy bleeding and period cramps, and my disrespectful behavior, he's sure that it's from having sex, not even an STD, but from having intercourse that was so intense it injured my insides. Look, man, I'm sure there are so many good male gynecologists out there, but I just think it's so weird and not correct for a dude to be in a position to make judgments about a body part he doesn't even have. Like, that might be so wrong for me to say, but like, why? I've literally never heard of this and I looked it up later and it's not even an effing thing. Meanwhile, the creep is standing there, mostly silent, nodding along with what my mom is saying. I tried to get a word in, but that's when the creep started on me, telling me, don't even bother denying it. I've been a gynecologist for over a decade. I know this when I see it. Yada, yada, yada. My mom then starts yelling at me like, how could you do this to me? And so on and so forth. She's convinced I've been going out and having sex with boys from school when I've literally just been seeing the 2 or 3 friends I have. So then they explain that they decided together some consequences for what I allegedly did, that I'm grounded. They're going to switch out my iPhone for a dumb phone so I can't use social media. I'm not allowed out to see my friends. And this is the fucking crazy bit. The creep is going to perform a weekly purity test, invasive vaginal exam to make sure that I'm not actively having sex until they can trust me again. And the first one is gonna be this weekend. Holy shit, man. We fucking woo, bro. What? Dude, girl, get out. Like, go. Dude, I would much rather live on the street. Put me in a cardboard box. Get out. I'm totally fucking lost here. Obviously, I'm not going through with this, but I have no money at all and nowhere I can stay even for one night. I'm leaning on making up some excuse to avoid the purity thing and to keep my smartphone until I can sort something out. Any other ideas are appreciated. Well, you call the cops. Also, the state medical board that already revoked his license, I'm sure they'll want to know he's practicing without a license. That's a good point. That might be the move, low-key. Holy shit. If you don't have an adult you can turn to, you can call or text a number to talk to somebody at the child help hotline or visit their website. People are there to help for free 24 hours a day. The website opens a pop-up telling you to call 911 if this is an emergency or your safety is at risk. I don't think I ever said it, but not the a-hole. If that wasn't implied, there it is. Am I the a-hole for avoiding my boyfriend because he said he preferred pink pussy? My boyfriend and I have been together for a year now and everything was moving forward smoothly. We have great chemistry and the sex was mind-blowing until about 2 weeks ago when we were having pillow talk after great sex session. Then he opened up and mentioned that he loved pink pussy and that it made him go crazy, that he preferred it. I told him that means the majority of POC girls aren't preferable to him. He shrugged and said that this was what everyone actually preferred, but it doesn't take from the girl. I told him that I disagreed about everybody because not everyone subscribed to the white ideal. He shrugged again. Honestly, I didn't care much about it at the time. Personal preference, I thought. But now I have been avoiding him like the plague. The thought of him gives me the shudders. He has been texting me every day and trying to call, but I am not ready to talk to him yet. I think I am ending things with him, but I don't think it is polite to do it via text when we have been together for a year and I am simply not ready to see him yet, so I have been avoiding him. My friends call me the a-hole, but for different reasons. The majority because I am insecure and felt inferior and dumped a man because of his preference when everything else is great and he loves me. He made it very clear that this preference doesn't have anything to do with what he he wants from a partner. I honestly don't think this is the issue here though, that I feel insecure. Others think I'm the a-hole because I didn't react strongly enough, but then again, I didn't really think that I had any right to scold someone over their preferences. There's no right and wrong. Have I messed up? I've always been adamant on people are allowed to have their preferences, but you are not the a-hole for hearing about other people's preferences and thinking that they're stupid as fuck. Exhibit A, whatever the fuck this is. If I were attracted to dudes, I think this would give me the ick too, because like, who the fuck cares, bro? Pussy is pussy. I don't know what to tell you. I'm gonna go with not the a-hole. I don't think this is coming from a place of insecurity for OP. I think this is coming from a major ick. And I don't disagree with it. If your gut is telling you that you don't like his energy and your brain is signaling disgust, it doesn't really matter what the reason is. You have intuition for a reason. Listen to it. Yeah, I think this is a good way to put it. The intuition is maybe you know the type of people who would say shit like this and would be attracted to shit like this. And if your boyfriend is now in that bucket, then you're like, wee woo, let's get out of here. Update 1. So I did it and I sent him the text suggested by one of you beautiful Reddit users. He texted me that he wanted to see me and at least he wanted to know what's wrong and if he did anything to make me mad. So I texted, I think we should see other people. Wow. just fucking wow. I mean, good for her, but wow, what a response. He answered about an hour later. He said he wanted to come over to talk. So I guess we were having the talk later this evening. Update 2, next day. So he was here and we talked. I let him do almost all the talking. He started saying that he missed me and that he loved me. I told him that I feel like something switched off and I got the ick. I don't think it is fixable. He got angry and called me insecure and that he didn't mean it that way. These things aren't important in the scheme of things and that I am the best he's been with. And not only sexually. I disagree that I am insecure because I don't recognize myself as one. I am just turned off and I thought we should call it quits before we waste more of each other's time. This is like a conversation between her and the boyfriend. The boyfriend, it is not like I'm the only one who thinks that. Everyone does. OP, think what? OP's ex. You know, ask anyone and those who say otherwise are lying. OP, like ask who? OP's ex, like my friends. They all like white girls. OP, okay. OP's ex. See, you are being insecure again. I don't care because I love you. It doesn't matter. OP. No, it doesn't matter at all, but at the same time, I am not really attracted to you anymore. We can't control these things. He got upset and said, see, we want to give you, plural, a chance, but you are always so dramatic and you wonder why we prefer white women. Just relax, be fun. OP, you just said you didn't care. Silence. Then he said, look, I didn't mean it that way, but you, plural, really need to relax. I love you. You are the best sex I have ever had. Then it just got awkward quiet afterwards. So he said he was leaving and asked to just not jump into things. He texted later that things didn't go as he hoped and that he was sorry and didn't mean what he said. Then to at least think before giving him an answer. I answered that I was very much sure that this was over and that I didn't need to think things through. He called me easily offended, then texting bubble was just there for almost a minute. So I texted, before you write something stupid in the heat of the moment, don't. It wasn't worth us sinking this low. I prefer ending things on good terms. The bubble disappeared and he just wrote, I just can't believe I am losing you over this. Then I love you. This is it. I didn't and won't answer him. P.S. Everything is paraphrased besides the text. The conversation was longer, but went in this direction. Just the fact that he was like, this is why we're more attracted to white girls. He's probably low-key closeted a racist. The girlfriend's making the right move by cutting this off now and not giving this man any time of day. So this one was interesting because it doesn't tell you what it's about, but it's, am I the a-hole? Asking particularly for men's opinions as per the husband's request. Who knows where this is going? I had a baby 8 weeks ago. My toddler is only 1.5 years old, so 2 under 2. I took 3 months unpaid maternity leave, had to save up during the pregnancy to afford it. My husband didn't get any leave and had to keep working. He works from home. During these 8 weeks, my husband has gone out to a couple of dinners, to a late meeting, neighborhood committee, a wedding that I had to tag along to unwillingly at only 6 weeks after a C-section to make him happy. Late drinks following one of the dinners. He came home at 4:30 a.m. last week and is scheduled to go on a bachelor trip later on that was supposed to be a weekend in New Orleans and is now a 4-day international trip to Jamaica. He also told me about having 3 couples over to our house, which then turned, without my previous knowledge, into a 42-person get-together. Yes, you read the number right, and he's telling me he can't end that event at 7 so we can put the kids to bed because he can't ask people to leave. So he has not been deprived socially in any way. Now he's saying he wants to go to a double birthday party in New York City this Friday, which will naturally mean a late night. I'm doing the Reddit thing. But divorce. I'm arguing that as a father of 2 very young kids in the trenches of postpartum, he should be sitting out of some of these events to stay home and help me at night. Our nanny is off the clock at 7 p.m., 5 p.m. on Fridays, so it's at night that I need him the most. He argues that 1, he's home all day instead of going out to the office and having drinks after, and 2, he's able to wake up early after a late night to help with the kids. However, 1, it's not my fault his job is from home, and I tell him he wouldn't get to be out for drinks every night if he has a baby at home that needs him, and 2, while he does wake up at 7 a.m. after a long night, he then proceeds to be in a sour mood about how exhausted he is, and I end up picking up all the slack for the next couple of nights to help him recover. So it all falls back on me anyways. Important note, while I am on maternity leave now, I'm with the kids all day along with the nanny, so I'm not sitting around doing nothing. I also have a mental illness that requires me to prioritize my sleep, particularly in the postpartum period, which I have been completely putting aside in order to favor my husband getting good sleep because he's working. Also, he gets reasonable chunks of break time throughout the day, so he is not working nonstop by any means. Am I being unreasonable? Isn't it fair that as a husband, he gives up some of these social events while his baby is a newborn? Should I just suck it up and let him be out and about for as many late nights as he wants? Edited to add, 1, I am the breadwinner. I make more than triple what my husband makes, so I am not a gold digger. 2, because I work, I hired a nanny. I simply didn't want to fire her for just 3 months of leave and lose her, so I saved up during pregnancy to be able to keep her. Working people need childcare. Simple as that. 3, my husband isn't a terrible person or I wouldn't have married him. When he's home, he's absolutely a dad to his kids, especially on the weekends when he's off of work. It's this one issue about the crazy amount of social events during this period that I'm having a problem with. 4, we did get tons of women's opinions in a Facebook group, so then my husband asked if we could get men's. 5, I didn't know this would be a problem before kids or even after the first kid, because this all began after my husband went back to school for his master's and met all these friends that he now believes it's crucial he networks with. They're not coworkers. 6, we are not relying on Reddit to fix our marriage. We have recently started marriage counseling. We were simply curious what everyone else, unbiased third parties, thought because we both believe we are right. Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. Should he make time for some social events? Yes, absolutely. I think that's super important. But directly after your wife healing from a C-section, dealing with postpartum, like, you have to be there. That's not even being a man. That's just being an empathetic human being to be able to come to that conclusion. OP is not the a-hole. Husband is the a-hole. I think other people will understand. My wife just gave birth. I have a new child. I'm going to take a step back for like 8 months to make sure my wife is okay, gets back up on her feet, starts work before I start going to social events. Anybody who isn't accepting of that is a shitty person. I don't care what kind of network you're trying to build. Cut them out. Update. He agrees he's in the wrong and says he feels terrible that he's been so inconsiderate. He says he knew it after the women commented, but just wanted to hear what men had to say too. He says he will cool it with the events and continue to work on this in therapy. He should have seen my point just because I made it, but we're both super opinionated, so I guess he was just being either stubborn or simply delusional. At least the husband admitted that he was in the wrong. Should the husband have seen it sooner? Yeah, but we love a husband that eventually gets there. Am I the a-hole for not attending my fiance's dad's funeral because I was uncomfortable with wearing a hijab? I, 27 female, have been with my fiance, 29 male, for 4, almost 5 years now. He is a South Asian Muslim, but was born here in America, while I am white and Christian. He is not very religious, but I am fairly devout in my own faith. His family is also fairly religious, and his mother and sister both wear hijab. We live on the West Coast, but both our families are on the East Coast, but my family lives in the South, and his family lives in the North, so they are far away from each other. This is all relevant. The two of us flew to visit my family for Christmas and New Year's. We flew in on the 22nd, and the plan was to stay until the 2nd, when we'd fly back home. His dad has been fairly sick for a while, and just a day after we arrived at my parents' house, he passed away. This was unexpected since he'd been doing better recently. Obviously, my fiance was devastated. Instantly booked us both flights so that we could attend his funeral together. We would have flown out on the 24th, so the flights were fairly expensive, booked last minute as well. Of course, I was sad to miss Christmas with my family, and my parents were very disappointed, but I was happy to go to support him. However, a few hours before we're going to fly out, he informs me that I'll have to wear a hijab to enter the mosque for the service, and we would not be allowed to go to the graveyard either. I did not feel comfortable doing this, so I told him I would rather not go. I figured if I couldn't attend the service, service, I might as well just stay with my parents so we could still do Christmas together, and he could come back to join us. This was a very hard decision for me to make, but my parents helped me a lot in making it. My fiance seemed okay with the decision and left without me, although before he left, he asked if I couldn't just come and not attend the service. He attended the service, but he hasn't come back and told me on the 29th he'd be doing New Year's there and hasn't messaged me since. His sister, who I've always been close with, texted me and told me how disappointed she was in me and that what I did was wrong. I don't think I did anything wrong because I couldn't attend the service anyway. She also said I should have at least paid him back for the flight he got for me, but it was almost $1,000 and I simply can't afford that. My fiance makes almost 5 times as much as I do, and the family is also very wealthy, so I know the money is not an issue. My parents agree with me and said it was important to spend Christmas with them since it's the first after being engaged. They also think it was wrong of him to completely abandon me and our plans for New Year's. Yo, these parents fucking suck. Yeah, you know, I know his dad died, but L move of him to abandon you for Christmas and New Year's. The fuck? My sister said I should have gone anyway to support him. Am I the a-hole? Is it against Christianity to wear a hijab? Would there be any repercussions for their own faith just to wear a hijab into a mosque? I don't think so. His dad died, and these are customs and traditions that are important to their family. And hey, it's literally just for the funeral service. You should have been there to support him even if you couldn't go to the service. You're in the wrong for picking being with your family for a holiday over being with the person you're planning on marrying to support them when their parent died. I wouldn't be surprised if OP's parents intentionally manipulated OP into staying because they knew that it would create tension in their relationship. If OP is super religious and has been raised religious, I would not be surprised if her parents aren't a little mad or disappointed that she's not marrying another Christian. Am I the a-hole? My ex-girlfriend told me my current girlfriend sabotaged our relationship. I was in a loving relationship with Julie for the last 4 years. We met through some mutual friends. Julie and I were very compatible in terms of our love for outdoor activities and running. We have very similar lifestyles and supported each other well for the last 4 years. We have also been living together for the last 3 years. We even discussed getting married during the summer. Everything was great, and I was planning to propose to her over the holidays. However, I started to see changes in behavior in Julie around September. She was acting distant and looked stressed. It was quite noticeable, and I was worried. I trust her with all my heart, and I could not imagine she would be cheating on me. However, she did spend more time by herself. Around the same time, Julie's friend Mindy messaged me privately and asked me if I could meet her secretly as she wanted to tell me something about Julie. Mindy and Julie work together, and I have known Mindy ever since I started dating Julie. I was surprised, but to be honest, I assumed the worst. I met her at a cafe after work. She asked me if things were going okay between Julie and me. She told me that Julie told her that she was planning to leave me soon. This was a total shock to me. I asked her if there was anyone else that Julie was interested in, and she told me no. Julie confided in her that she was not sure about marrying me. She told me that she just had to tell me this as she did not want me to be blindsided. This is a weird thing to just tell someone. If Julie was cheating, it would make sense to have this conversation. But if she's just thinking about breaking up with them, that's something you just let happen. I was devastated. I started putting more effort into making our relationship more exciting and planning more dates, etc. Mindy was also helping me through this time and telling me more about what Julie told her. Eventually, before Thanksgiving, Julie told me that she loved me, but she wanted to take a break for a month to live alone. She said that she just wanted to live alone for a month to make sure she wanted to marry me. I was completely heartbroken. I asked her if she wanted to pursue someone else. She told me that was not the case, and I better not do anything stupid either. I told her that if she is not sure after 4 years that she wants to marry me, then maybe we should just break up. We had a big fight and broke up after a few days. As our lease was ending, we decided to part ways in December. She got a new apartment, and I kept our old apartment and just took her name off the lease. After the breakup, I was feeling very lonely as I was not used to being in the apartment alone. I didn't want to keep on being sad and hence invited a bunch of friends for a New Year's party. I also invited Mindy. We had a good time, and my friends were doing their best to cheer me up. Mindy also mingled with my friends, and it was good. Mindy decided to stay back to help me clean up, and we hooked up that night. I felt guilty, but Mindy did cheer me up. Since then, we have hung out almost daily at my place. I am still sad about Julie, but I won't lie that being with Mindy does make me feel happy. She is sweet and caring. Last Sunday, we woke up and someone was banging on the door. I went to open it, and it was Julie. She looked furious and started yelling at me. She kept on accusing me of cheating on her. I told her I most certainly did not cheat on her, and she was the one who broke up with me. Mindy was also at my apartment. Julie was just angry at both of us. She started calling Mindy a manipulative bitch and told me that Mindy was the one who suggested to her that she should take some time away from me to understand her true feelings. I calmed her down and asked her to explain herself. She told me that ever since our marriage talk, she told Mindy about it, and Mindy kept on asking Julie if she was sure about marrying me. Mindy suggested that Julie take some time to herself to understand her true feelings and that I will understand and give her space. When I said no, Mindy convinced her that I was so controlling that I had not even given her 1 month to herself and convinced her to break up with me. I don't support it, but holy fuck is that big brain. Mindy told me that she did not say any such things and these were all Julie's ideas and she was just there during these conversations. She did tell Julie that she told me about some of the things so that I get a chance to make things right with her over the last few months. That made Julie more angry and she started accusing me of emotionally cheating on her. Julie told me that the last few weeks have made her realize that we were meant to be together, but she now cannot believe I could move on from a 4-year relationship in a week. On one hand, I want to believe Julie, but she broke up with me for no fault of my own. Mindy was there for me when I was down, but now I also doubt her. She suddenly started talking to me out of the blue as we were never really close before and immediately became my support after the breakup, although Julie was her close friend. Am I the a-hole to emotionally cheat on Julie? Should I have told her about Mindy's text? Should I have not moved on from her so quickly even though Julie broke up with me? I was just hurting and Mindy was right there to support me. I think I can comfortably say, no matter what, get rid of Mindy. The only thing that Julie might be in the wrong for is accusing OP of cheating when OP was played like a goddamn fiddle. OP was played harder than Michael Jordan plays basketball. He got walked on. Did OP completely move on from Julie, or is Mindy just kind of a nice rebound? If Mindy is just a nice rebound, and maybe if low-key in his brain he's like, ugh, I'd much rather Julie was here, then I don't think he's the a-hole. But if he was completely able to get over Julie in a week and is now fully invested in Mindy, yeah, probably a little bit the a-hole. Although he did call Mindy his girlfriend, which that's crazy. That's not a girlfriend, bro. That's a rebound. I think everyone just gotta walk away from the situation and take their respective L's. I think you're right, Sammy. I don't think Julie should or has to forgive OP, and I don't think OP should or has to forgive Julie by any means. It's just like, damn, bro, we got fucked over on that. Let's all just separate and go to therapy. Am I the a-hole for telling my husband that he needs to give me half his company if he wants me to be a housewife? My husband and I, both 35, have been married for 6 years, and we have 2 children together and 1 on the way. He said that he wanted me to be a housewife and stop working. I was very disturbed by that, but he explained that it was better for our family and children since he can afford a very good living. After a few weeks thinking, I told him that I would agree, but only if I get half his company. He was surprised by this, but I explained further that the more I stay at home, the less chance I would have to find a well-paying job should we ever divorce, because I would have less merits, while he would stay making more money each year. So I want half the company. If we never divorce, which is the goal of all marriages, then it wouldn't matter, but should it end, it would be the price of me staying home and raising our children so he could be less worried and stressed out. His words that he would be less anxious and stressed out if he knew they were there with me rather than with strangers in daycares or nannies. When I told my friends, they called me the a-hole. My best friend was very angry and called me disgusting, so I'm a little taken aback. She didn't put what was the husband's reaction, because I think that's the most important to me, is like, I want to know how the husband reacted to this, thinking from the husband's perspective. Like, I have my business. In a lot of ways, my business is my baby. I think it would be very hard for me to give 50% of that to somebody, but I think what the wife is asking is very merited. It has so much logic behind it. Yeah, like, you're totally right. If you stop working and there was a divorce in the future, you'd be screwed. I'm gonna assume the reaction wasn't bad, because I think if the reaction had been bad, she would have put it into the post. Since it's not, I think we can give the husband the benefit of the doubt that maybe the husband was like, okay, that's a lot to request, but like, let me think on it. Assuming that, giving the husband benefit of the doubt, I'm gonna go with no a-holes here other than the best friends. Honey, get some new friends. I think this is a very reasonable request. I think it's just a problem in the marriage that they need to have an open conversation without letting feelings get involved so that they can figure out, maybe it's not 50%, maybe it's 25%. Maybe they go to a business lawyer who can kind of break down the value of that. Am I the a-hole for telling my girlfriend that my ex-wife was tighter? We have a male 39 OP and a female 32 girlfriend and a female 42 ex-wife. I hate it when people make fun of others. I mean, I know that people can gossip and talk amongst friends about other people, and I'm guilty of that too, but I got very upset when my girlfriend started talking about my ex-wife. I understand that disliking an ex isn't abnormal or anything, but my girlfriend is obsessed with my ex-wife and always tries to make bad remarks about her. When it is just to me, I don't care, because again, people gossip and talk shit about others in the privacy of their own homes. But this time, it was in a restaurant with some of her girlfriends and spouses. Somehow the discussion became about my ex-wife's vagina. Yes, don't ask me how, but they were discussing childbirth and body changes, age, etc. And my ex got dragged. My girlfriend was a bit drunk and she was talking loudly. I hated it and asked her to stop talking. When I get upset, she doubles down because she starts thinking, why do you care? Why don't you want me to talk shit about your ex? She has told me this before. Now she was talking about how my ex-wife must have a huge one. We have 2 children together, female 4, male 2. Okay, that actually changes things for me a little bit. I think it's one thing if it's just your ex. I think it's completely different if it's the mother of your children. The girl started laughing and saying, ew. I yelled to stop, but they ignored me. Then my girlfriend told me, why are you so agitated? Did we hit a nerve? I said, actually, no. My ex-wife was the tightest woman I have had. Oh my God. I said, actually, no, my ex-wife was the tightest woman I have had. I don't know how she managed it, but she's very tight. Okay, saying that to your significant other is insane. But saying that to your significant other in front of her friends? Wow. Just fucking wow. They became silent and my girlfriend started crying. Then the women started yelling a-hole at me and their spouses were between amused and scared. Then one of the spouses said, yeah, I don't think childbirth really affects this. I haven't noticed a difference with women I've dated. I felt gratitude, but I was still being yelled at and my girlfriend has not called or answered me since Saturday. I'm so tired. I think I just have to go with everyone sucks here, which I feel like is the easy answer. But truly the friends suck, this girlfriend sucks, and I think OP sucks for their immature reaction. Even though they got put in an immature situation, I don't think it's good for any relationship, nor is it okay to be like, yeah, my ex was tighter than you in front of her friends. I mean, it's funny as fuck for a bystander like me who has no skin in the game, but if I was in that situation, that's terrible. Yeah, the girlfriend shouldn't be talking shit about the ex, especially if that's the mother of his kids. Just unacceptable to talk about her like that. The friends shouldn't have been egging it on. This just sounds like a group of shitty people. Am I the a-hole? I accidentally accused my wife of cheating on me, but actually it was just my daughter, and now we may divorce. We have a 52 male OP, a 50 female wife. Me and my wife have been married for 25 years and we are immensely happy. We of course have the normal fights. Me not cleaning the bathroom, argue about me losing money on sports betting, her spending twice as much at the shops as we agreed to, etc. But overall, have a really happy marriage. Until about 8 p.m. yesterday night. Recently, we've been having a bit of trouble in the bedroom. I don't want to derail the post, but basically, sex has naturally slowed down between the two of us in the last couple of years. This has really bothered my wife, and bothered me a bit also, I will admit. Once we vocalized the problem, we both agreed we were going to take steps to fix some things. We talked to some doctors. Basically, all of them wanted to put my wife on some serious medications, which my wife was pretty against. This led to about a year of building what we call our sex drawer, filled of products in the kitchen that my wife has tried and tested and likes the ingredients of. It's nothing crazy, literally things like vitamin D, zinc, some Lubrisil soft gels, maca, stuff that has been tried and tested, nothing too wild and all over the counter. Now here's where things start to go downhill. So my wife naturally takes these products around the times we are going to be getting intimate or try. Now I don't monitor the kitchen drawer, but sometimes I do peek. I know, but I can't help it. About 3-ish weeks ago, I noticed a ton of pills and soft gels were disappearing. Me thinking I'm about to have a pretty good week, I start to get mentally prepared for it. So about a week after that, I rechecked the drawer and a ton more of the stuff has been taken. I remember thinking, that's weird. We haven't done anything recently. About a week later, the same thing happened. Tons of pills and soft gels are gone, and I'm not gonna lie, I get in my head a bit. Last night, me and my wife are out for dinner. After a couple glasses of wine, I asked my wife why she's been taking so much of the stuff in the sex drawer without trying for any intimacy. I asked coming from an angle of both worry, mostly for health, and confusion. Immediately, my wife gets insanely defensive, blows off the conversation, and tells me she isn't talking about it. This, of course, makes it where now it's the only thing I want to talk about. And while I respect everyone's I don't want to talk about this, I think something like this should probably be fucking discussed. I press a bit and for about an hour, she's not having this conversation. Basically, it gets to the point where I just blatantly ask my wife if she's seeing other people. My wife, who has never been aggressive or loud, starts basically screaming at me in this Italian restaurant. She tells me my daughter, 25 female, has been having some relationship issues with her boyfriend and has been taking some of the stuff to help. I'm like, why the fuck didn't you just tell me? She goes on a rant about how some things are girl to girl and how my daughter didn't want her telling anyone, which I get, but come on, I buy the things to fill the drawer. My wife ends up leaving the restaurant mid-dinner. I've honestly never seen my wife this mad. I'm honestly a bit worried for our marriage. And to top it off, my daughter is acting weird around me. I get that I stepped out of line with the questioning, but the defensiveness really caught me off guard and would have assumed my daughter using our stuff would have been discussed and I wouldn't have actually cared and would have bought more stuff. Anytime I try to talk to my wife, she makes it seem like I'm an insane, out of control monster, that I've broken the trust in our marriage and that I've ruined 25 years of progress we've made together. How do you guys feel about the girl to girl thing? I'm leaning towards not the a-hole and the wife is the a-hole just because the communication error here is the biggest problem. OP had a legitimate reason to believe that his wife could be potentially cheating on him. The wife had a reaction that OP was very valid and kind of pushing like, hey bro, are you cheating on me? So the only issue I see is that the wife just didn't tell him our daughter is taking these pills to improve her sex life. Is it a hard conversation? Yes. Is it kind of weird? Sure. I do think it's actually somewhat healthy for parents to have a baseline level of communication about sex with their children, no matter what age it is. Obviously, I'm not saying that the daughter should be going around being like, hey, yo, dad, this is how I be fucking my boyfriend. But I do think it should be okay to communicate those types of things to both your parents. When you're being accused of cheating on somebody and there's a perfectly reasonable explanation, I don't care if it's girl to girl. You should communicate to your partner, hey man, I'm not cheating on you. Edit 4 hours since I posted. Me and my wife didn't go to the doctor for only libido issues. I don't know the general age of Reddit, but as you get older, things like menopause and other hormonal issues become a reality, just the way of life. I didn't plan on questioning my wife at the dinner. It just had been in the back of my head, and after a few glasses of wine, I handled the situation poorly, which I 100% agree with you all, not the right time or place. Though we've had tough conversations before in public. Still doesn't justify it. I guess I see that, but I don't think that makes him the a-hole at all. Calling it a sex drawer may have been a bad name, but it's just how we reference it. We didn't really think too deeply when coming up with the name, and I don't know actually which one of us created it. I don't have a good reason why it's in the kitchen, but we're kind of past the age of caring about what someone may or may not see in our home. I mean, also, I'm not gonna open up a drawer of pills and be like, yo, man, why didn't you hide this? I can clearly tell by the way you're taking vitamin D that y'all be fucking. I wasn't monitoring the sex drawer. The Lubrisil soft gels, which we keep out of the box, come only in a 30 pill supply. Half the pack or so is missing. I didn't count. It's very obvious even at a quick glance. And for why I didn't automatically assume my daughter, the soft gels mentioned above and some other stuff in there are for a specific thing outside of the vitamins. While I don't know the ingredients too intimately, you wouldn't really expect those things to be shared. And finally, for those mentioning that my wife is still actually hiding something, I appreciate your comments and it has given me a ton to think about. While I don't jump to those kind of conclusions, I do agree that there's probably more that needs to be discussed between me, my wife, and my daughter. Am I the a-hole for kicking my girlfriend out after she called me a crybaby for crying over my dead niece? I met my now ex-girlfriend 4 years ago in college. Until now, she seemed like the type of woman I would want to marry. Extremely kind, genuine, and generally a joy to be around. My big sister and her husband had a daughter at the beginning of our relationship. I couldn't be more happy to be an uncle. She was the cutest thing in the world to me. I tried to be that cool uncle to her and would always try to find time for her. My sister would regularly bring her over to my place for me to babysit when she had something going on. My girlfriend, to my knowledge, also seemed to get along fine with her and wouldn't be against babysitting her with me. The best moment I shared with her was when my sister showed me a drawing my niece made about me in kindergarten. I was literally on the verge of tears seeing that. A year ago, my world turned upside down when my sister gave me a call crying. That one sentence still rings in my head from time to time. She told me she was diagnosed with leukemia. To say I was devastated would be an understatement. The past year was really tough for all of us. I spent most of my free time with my sister and brother-in-law in the hospital. Seeing that poor girl with all those tubes attached to her really broke my heart. I would regularly bring over balloons and make those balloon animals for her. I learned how to make those while working at a carnival when I was young. As a result, I spent less time with my girlfriend. She seemed like she understood until her cancer grew worse. From Saturday to Sunday, I was either in the hospital or I was drinking myself to sleep. One day, my girlfriend just seemed to ignore me on our 3-year anniversary. I bought her flowers, a cake, and made her a card. My girlfriend, on the other hand, didn't get me anything. I pressed her about it, and that's when she said something that probably was a sign of what was to come. She just told me, well, it doesn't seem like you care, so why should I get something for someone who cares more about a child that's going to die anyway? I don't know what she was expecting. Long story short, I threatened to kick her out and tell everyone I knew, including my sister, is a close friend of hers, what she just told me. She apologized and told me she wasn't thinking straight and something like this would never happen again. I eventually forgave her and we moved on. My niece passed away last week and it's been the worst period of my life. I've basically been crying myself to sleep every day and have been spending a lot of time with my sister to console her. Something that caught me off guard though is my girlfriend seemed a bit too happy at the news of her passing. She just smiled and said, "I'm so happy she isn't suffering anymore and is in a much better place now," with a big grin on her face. Hey man, are you dating Satan? Yesterday I overheard her talking with one of her friends over the phone. I just came home from work and I guess she didn't hear me walk in. I just heard a real man wouldn't cry unless it's his child dying. That caught me off guard and I kept on listening. She said some more awful things about me being a crybaby and how I shouldn't be so attached to a kid that isn't mine and so on. I loudly coughed to get her attention and just saw the life draining from her face. She tried the whole "let me explain" bullshit and I just told her to pack what's needed and I'll get her dad to come pick her up. After a solid hour of her begging, she finally gave up and packed her things into a suitcase. Before leaving, she tried spitting at me but just ended up spitting on herself. Her mom called me a few hours later begging me to give her a second chance. I knew I shouldn't have said this, but I just told her to go fuck herself and her mentally unstable daughter. I basically emptied half a bottle of Jack Daniels that night and went to bed. Not a fan of like the borderline alcoholism, but like I kind of get it at this point, man. That's not how you handle your problems, but goddamn, if anybody has a reason, it's him. I woke up today with texts from my sister. She told me my ex told her everything that happened and understood me kicking her out, but I should consider giving her a second chance. What? Girl, that is your child. Honey, what the fuck is we doing? I should consider giving her a second chance. She told me my ex seemed sincere in her apology to her. I asked what Lily would want, my niece. Not gonna lie, that kind of broke me. My niece loved my girlfriend and would always run to her and ask her to play Barbie with her. I feel like I shouldn't be upset if my sister forgave her, but at the same time, I feel hurt by her calling me a crybaby. Before the diagnosis, I've never really cried in front of her and her comments hurt me deeply. I feel like I can never open up to anyone again, let alone her. Am I being irrational here? Should I forgive her? Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. I do not think this human is worthy of forgiveness. I also think it's a massive red flag that she's like, pretty much fuck this child. I'm glad it died, but also with the actual child was acting like she liked the child. That is a sign of a sociopath. No. The flags have never been redder. We fucking woo. Get out. I'm just shocked that the sister was okay with that. Like, I almost wonder if the sister got the full story. There's no way. Am I the a-hole for waiting out my prenup before divorcing my cheating wife? Am I the a-hole for telling my mom she's dead to me if she mentors my bully? We got a 16 male OP and a 40 mom. My mom is a teacher at my school. Our school has a special elective you can take, which is being a teacher's aide during your elective period. It's mostly stuff like grading papers for them, making copies, mentoring, etc. It's pretty much always just the teacher's favorite student at the time. I found out at the beginning of the semester that my mom chose Dave, 17 male, to be her TA. Dave has made my life a living nightmare since middle school. He has bullied me mercilessly, both physically and emotionally, since 6th grade. I don't want to get into everything he's done to me, but everyone is fully aware of it, including the school and my parents. There's been countless meetings with school administration and suspensions on his end, but it never stopped him. Since we've been in high school, I haven't had to see him as much, which is a relief, but the times that I do are always terrible. When I found out that he was her new TA, I was obviously very hurt and confused. I asked her why would she want to spend extra time with someone who has made my life so terrible. She said that she had him in one of her classes and that he really isn't such a bad kid, but he has a really terrible home life that she can't tell me about that makes him act out. For the record, my mom has always had a soft spot for kids who come from bad homes. I reminded her of all the things she has done to me, and she said that she understands, but he really needs help right now. I told her, I get that, but why does it have to be you? We have a huge school full of teachers and staff who can mentor him. Why does it have to be you? She told me to stop being selfish, and some kids have it harder than I can imagine, and she's just trying to help. I was honest with her and told her that if she continued to have him as her aide, she was dead to me. She was choosing him over me, and she would no longer be my mother. I would no longer talk to her, and the minute I turned 18, I was moving out, and she would never hear from me again. She rolled her eyes and said I was being dramatic, but after a couple of days of ignoring her, I was grounded. It didn't change my mind, and my dad tried to force me to talk to her. I still refused, so they pretty much took everything away from me one by one for the past few weeks. I no longer have my car, computer, guitar, and most recently my art supply supervised, and I have to come home from school and go straight to my room. And I'm not allowed out except dinner until I start talking to her again. They don't realize that this is just strengthening my resolve. I'm going to sit in this empty room every day silently until I'm 18 and they'll never see me again. My mom keeps coming in crying and begging me to talk to her, which makes me feel kind of bad, but she still won't remove Dave as her aide. Am I taking this too far? I just feel so betrayed. It's funny because these are the most ass parents in the world, but the best thing that they're teaching their son currently is for him to stand up for himself the way he's standing up for himself right fucking now. Hot take. If you're a parent and your kid is being bullied and the school's not doing anything and it's still going on, the next step is you teach your kid how to beat the absolute shit out of that other kid. I don't care. Fucking cancel me. I don't give a shit. I will die on this hill. If the soft hands haven't worked, pull out the iron fists. These are terrible fucking parents. You never choose another child over your own personal child. That is your responsibility. They are priority numero uno. L parents, not the a-hole bro. They did provide a quick little update here. Everyone letting me know that it's not my fault helped a lot though, so I feel less embarrassed about someone I know potentially seeing this post. Nothing has really changed, but a lot of you made a good point that if I'm really going to go this route, then I need to come up with a plan for what I'm going to do when I get out. I considered the military like some people suggested, but then I remembered my school has a special trade program. You go to our school for half a day, then spend the other half at our local community college taking trade classes. I think depending on what you are doing, you can get an associate's degree or whatever certifications you need by the time you graduate. I went to my guidance counselor during lunch today and told her I wanted to switch to that program. She acted really surprised and asked why did I want to change now since I'm already taking AP classes and I'm on the college track. I told her I didn't want to talk about it, but I would need to be ready for independence when I graduated and this seemed like the best way. She said it might be too late to change the semester, but she would look into it for me and let me know. Shit, man, that's so fucked up. Not saying that going the trade route is like a bad route to go, but like this is clearly a smart kid taking AP classes with a lot of potential to succeed in a more academic setting, and his parents are fucking that up for him. Like, what terrible parents to like fuck up your kid's future for some like rando who bullied your child. Update to everyone who said my mom was sleeping with Dave, you were right. Just kidding, y'all are weirdos and watch too much porn. A lot has actually happened since last week. While nothing is really fixed, I think things are going in the right direction. On Friday, I got called out of class to the guidance counselor. When I got there, my mom and the assistant principal were there as well. The counselor asked me to sit down and said that me changing tracks from college to trade, like I mentioned in my last post, was a big decision, and she wanted to sit down with my mom and me to figure out if this really was the best for my future. W guidance counselor. Need more guidance counselors like that. She first asked me if I would fully explain why I wanted to switch. I explained the whole situation from my perspective and about how I was being punished. I said that if this is how I was going to be treated from now on, I wanted to become independent as soon as possible, and going to college would have me relying on my parents for longer than I would like. She then asked my mom if she had anything she would like to add. My mom tried to downplay the whole situation at first and make it look like I was just being stubborn and disrespectful. But as the counselor asked her more questions, it became pretty clear that my side was the truth. After this, the assistant principal stepped in and said that a teacher's aide was not worth all this turmoil and that Dave would be switched with another teacher. The counselor then asked me if this would help me to start working things out with my mom. I said not really, because it wasn't even her choice and she hasn't even admitted she's done anything wrong. She then asked my mom if she was willing to apologize for anything that had happened. My mom gave a half-hearted apology where she said things had gone overboard and she never meant to hurt me so much. The counselor asked if I would like to apologize for anything as well, and I said not really, but nobody pressed me on this. The counselor then said about my transfer it was too late for this semester. What she suggested is that my mom and I, and possibly my dad, should go to a family counselor for the rest of the semester. I would stay in my current classes, my parents would give me all my stuff back, and we could see if we can come to some kind of peace before next semester. She then asked my mom that if after that I still had not changed my mind, would she accept the class changes. My mom said no at first because she wanted me to go to college, but I told her that she had already failed me as a mother once, please don't do it again. She got really quiet and said she would agree to it if that was what I really wanted. When I got home, all my stuff was returned to me. I also started talking to my mom again. I just kind of felt like there wasn't a point to ignoring her anymore. I don't treat her like a mother or anything anymore, but I'll answer her if she asks me a question. It just feels like that now I have a plan. A lot of my anger is gone, and I just see her as a person who happens to live in my house. We haven't scheduled our first counseling session yet, but I don't see it changing much anyways. The damage is done, so I don't see myself changing my mind. So what I'm hearing is that the guidance counselor's a big fat W of a person and the mom still sucks, but she was forced to make the right decision. Am I the a-hole for calling my 23 female husband 23 male an incel? Some background: I, 23 female, have been with my husband 23 male for about 4 years, only about 6 months married. I love him dearly and he is a very sweet guy. He is pretty conservative. We differ in that regard, and most of his male friends are as well. Back in college a few years ago, my husband and some of his friends started following this conservative male influencer on social media. This man's whole shtick was essentially shaming random men on the internet for simping for their girlfriends slash wives. How did he do this? Fans would send him photos of random straight couples, which he would screenshot and draw green lines over, indicating which directions the man and woman in the photo were leaning. If the woman was standing straight up in the photo and her man was leaning in towards her, the influencer would dub the man a simp and post the photo online for everyone to make fun of. The ideal photo, in the influencer's opinion, was one where the man was standing straight up and his woman was leaning into him. Anything else and the man was a simp, he could not control his woman. Yes, this is 100% real. If you don't take that with a grain of salt and you actually believe that's the case, you are a fucking moron. Obviously, I didn't love that my now husband was a fan of this influencer, but he reassured me that it was all a joke and that he didn't actually believe anything that this guy said. I believed him until I started to notice that when we would take pictures together, my husband was pulling away from me and attempting to have me lean into him. At first, I brushed it off, but it kept happening. This irritated me because I don't particularly love my side profile, but I was being forced to turn to the side and lean into him in every single photo we were taking. I would try to pull away so that I could face the camera head on, but he would pull me back in and or refuse to move. I confronted him about this a few times, but he always said that he wasn't doing anything. I was making it up. Babe, he's lying and gaslighting. You're married to a narcissist. I brushed this off for a while, and over time as our relationship progressed, we weren't taking as many photos anyways. But this all came to a head when last weekend we were visiting his family for Christmas. My husband was mentioning how him and I don't have enough recent photos together, so his sister offered to take one of us. He posed for the photo, me facing straight ahead with his arm around me, but once again, I noticed he was trying to angle me sideways and pull himself away from me. I got frustrated and stepped away, saying that I no longer wanted the photo. He asked me why, and I told him that he was doing the thing he always did, forcing me to have my side profile photographed while all I wanted was a normal, straight-on photo. I asked him if he could please let me take a photo facing the camera, and his answer shocked me. He said that he didn't like it when I was facing the camera and he was leaning more into me because, and I quote, "our green lines were bad." I am 100% serious. My husband didn't want me to have a flattering photo because he thought that, according to this influencer, it would make him look like a simp. I asked him if he was serious and he said yes. This is where I'm probably the a-hole. I got so frustrated and accused him of prioritizing the opinions of some random incel over those of his own wife. I then said he needed to stop being an incel himself and take one single normal photo with me. He got very angry that I insinuated that he was being an incel and refused to take any photos with me. I later apologized for what I said, but he's been short with me ever since. I know what I said was inappropriate, but I just can't believe he won't take a normal photo with me. This is like battered woman syndrome or something. Women who aren't conservative get with an uber conservative man and allow them absolutely berate them, gaslight them, lie to them. For her to be like, oh, hey, I stood up for myself and just called it what it is. He is being an incel. Somehow I'm the a-hole. And that was inappropriate. No, babe, what's inappropriate is him taking the opinion of some loser on the internet over his own wife. Over what? This is all he doesn't want to do. That's it, bro. If you're that much of a pussy where you can't lean into the person you love because some random fucking idiot on the internet's like, bro, he's such a simp, bro. That is the lowest tier man in the world. If this is a hill that he's dying on, something as stupid as this, it's only gonna get worse from here, babe. I'm sorry you two married, don't have kids. Wow, after 4 years together, you sure didn't know each other very well before getting married. I definitely know who I feel like he pretended to be. It feels like he switched up on me since we tied the knot. When I was his age, I got radicalized a bit like him, and others said with such a person a respectful relationship is not possible. If you enable him and apologize to him, it will only embolden him. Sorry to say, but he needs a hard lesson if he is ever to want to change. If everything works for him, he has no reason to try to change something in his life, but either way, you can't really force it. In time, I got it out of my head, but it took time. For me, it started with a rejection and realizing how manipulative I was. Then it needs years of loving yourself and being kind to yourself. Do you think it'd be reasonable for me to ask him to get off social media for a little while? It is what he needs, but I don't think it will work if you ask him. Sounds like he is insecure insecure in relationship dynamics or in himself as a man, and this request would probably trigger him extra hard. He would probably see it as you, a woman, dictating his, a man's life. You are in a tough spot. It is hard to come out of this in a respectful manner. I guess it depends on how much he is willing to actually listen and how much he respects you. Just asking him to stop something he does in his free time, what will you do if he disagrees? In my opinion, your best bet would be to have a good heart-to-heart conversation. But to do this, you have to be very vulnerable yourself and leave any criticism and accusations out of it. This is extremely hard to do if you don't already operate like that, and from the sound of it, you don't. Calling him incel, you are not wrong, but you are also married to him, and this harms the relationship in the long run. But even then, he might not want to change anything in his views. The husband became a simp for the influencer. No, dude, straight up. I say this all the time. These dudes be practically sucking Andrew Tate's dick, but somehow I'm the loser for painting my nails. You guys are ready to slob on that man's knob, and I like to finger girls with painted nails. I don't know, bro. Sounds like I'm winning. Am I the a-hole for refusing to donate my kidney to my dying sister because she got with my high school bully? I'm a 35-year-old gay man. When I was in high school, I was bullied severely by Darren. I won't go into the details, but it was really bad, past the point of typical high school debauchery. In my sophomore year, I made the mistake of coming out to one of my friends who promptly spread this information around the school. Before this, Darren had targeted me for being unathletic and wearing glasses and had done this to a couple other kids as well, but after I was outed, it was only me and only because of my sexuality. After high school, I moved away for college, I made friends, even got a boyfriend, and pretty much forgot about Darren until one Thanksgiving, my sister Ellie brought home her boyfriend Darren. No joke, the first thing he said when he saw me was, "Damn, Ellie, you didn't tell me your brother's a F-slur." Ellie fucking laughed, as did my dad. I was kind of stunned, but didn't yell or start a fight. I just got up and walked out. After the fact, my family tried to play it off as Darren was joking because he was nervous meeting the family, and they told me that he and Ellie were serious, so I had to get over it. I just told them all that I wouldn't be attending any event where Darren was. Bro, don't attend any event of this family. For the family to be okay with this girl dating the high school bully who's clearly homophobic, drop the whole family. Go no contact. That's not a sister, bro. That is another human being who actively chose somebody who harms you. Fuck her. In private, I told Ellie that I felt hurt that she date Darren, knowing what he did to me. She basically called me too sensitive and told me she has the right to date who she likes, which, yeah, she does. Since then, I've been putting distance between myself and my family, who seem to have readily accepted Darren into the fold. Recently, my mom reached out to me to tell me that Ellie was in the hospital and needed a kidney transplant. The rest of the family had been tested and none could donate, and my mom wanted to get me tested because I'm her full brother with a high likelihood of a match. The thing is, after all these years, Ellie is basically a stranger to me. If I were to do this, I'd have to drive 3 states back to my hometown, miss who knows how much work, and give up a piece of my flesh, all for the woman who dated and eventually married the guy who made my high school days a living hell. I told my mom I wouldn't be getting tested and she freaked out at me over the phone. I quickly hung up on her, but before I did, I heard her call me vindictive and a monster for refusing to save my sister's life. I admit, I feel guilty about it. Oh, so family matters now when the daughter is in trouble, but when the son was clearly uncomfortable with the daughter's choice in who she dates, oh, now it doesn't matter. Fuck the sister. Fuck the whole family, bro. Go no contact, disown them. I don't care. Like, that is not how you operate a family. If my dad didn't join me into absolutely pummeling a human being who called my sibling that, I would be pissed. Not the a-hole. Get rid of all of them. Am I the a-hole for dropping my mom off at a homeless shelter and going home to my wife? So we have a 33 male OP and a 59 female mother. My mom has found herself penniless after 37 years married to my dad because my dad is in jail for stealing money from his employer, stealing it over the decades he's worked for that employer. When my dad was first arrested, me and my wife advised her to file for divorce immediately. If she's telling the truth in that she did not know what he was doing, never noticed their finances were changing, then she needed to divorce him immediately. Have a game plan, any game plan of sorts. But she fell into a state of shock, had several breakdowns that led to her being rushed to the hospital because she thought she was dying. She wasn't dying, it was all panic attacks. However, before all of this came to light, she was still being treated for high blood pressure and arthritis from aging. I finally had enough of watching my mom decide not to divorce because she was always a housewife and finances made her head explode. My dad pled guilty, but not before cleaning them both out with legal bills and then being stuck with restitution. My mom has been wringing her hands. She got a job at a packaging place, but had multiple mental breakdowns that has caused her to be fired. She'll rant on and on about how she did it all right. Now she's lost the house, and the other friend she's been living with has been put on notice by her husband that either my mom leaves their house or they divorce. Now my mom is begging me and my wife, who is my only priority, and to be honest, the first person I felt true, encompassing love of any kind from. She is somebody who I, in many ways, grew up with, emotionally speaking, because I was such an emotional wreck who didn't know how to handle relationships before I met her. She is an RN, and I am in real estate. I was a top seller at my previous agency, and then me and a business partner decided to start our own thing. We've both worked for all of our 20s and to be where we are now financially. My wife is my family. We do not exist as junior, subordinate members of my dad's family, which is what my mom expects us to be. My mom has kept begging us for help. Her attempts have ranged from her showing up at our door and crying and pleading. We've been too nice to just tell her the cold truth. It's not our responsibility. As somebody in real estate, I understand that the Section 8 system is broken. Many landlords find ways to avoid Section 8, and she could be on a wait list forever. However, there are homeless shelters that give housing as long as you understand that you'll be living with people who are also at rock bottom. They probably won't be Mary Sunshine towards you. I ended up meeting her for lunch and then telling her I was getting her help. She agreed to get in my car, and I ended up driving her to the homeless shelter. She started screaming and saying the people there are violent, have threatened others, that there's pests in the shelter. I said nothing except that she needs to get in line, so they'll give her a spot since it's first come, first serve. Am I the a-hole for driving away and going back to my wife? Edit, since most people assume I had a loving mother, my mother told me growing up that she was glad she had me, a son, because my sisters as women were a lot of drama. And every time they had emotional needs, she would dismiss it as drama. She fostered the rift between me and my sisters and said that I would grow up to build the world while my sisters would grow up to maybe support those who did great things. In addition, after my dad's infidelities became clear, she took out his infidelities on my sisters by saying that the way they were dressing, they would attract the attention of married men, and that she didn't think they had the character, they were 17 and 18 at the time, to not cheat with married men. Even accused them of wanting power over married men because that was something she found out about women through my dad cheating. I'm glad OP gave us that edit, because I think if his mother was actually a good person, I think OP would be the a-hole, but clearly he doesn't have the healthiest relationship with his mother. And if anything, I think this might be a good wake-up call for her. It sounds like she's living in her own delusional bubble and she needs to break out of that. OP is not the a-hole. What I will say is it would be nice for OP to put some energy into helping his mom. Not saying she deserves it or anything, but reading the story, I kind of felt bad. It sounds like she was totally brainwashed and handicapped by OP's dad, which sucks. Like, that totally sucks. That's the reason why she's the way she is. The mother is not OP's responsibility. Definitely not the a-hole, but it's just sad. Am I the a-hole? My boyfriend says I ruined our relationship because of my period. I got a 23 female OP and a 30 male boyfriend. Me and my boyfriend have been dating for 2 years. We don't live together because I don't want to live with his roommates, and I won't let him move in with me because I live in a small studio behind my landlord's house. The space just isn't large enough. I was the only girl in my house growing up with 5 brothers. I know men don't like to know about this stuff. My dad and brothers always made me throw away my woman things in the outside trash, and I was never allowed to talk about it. Why are guys so fucking weird about that shit? It's not bad. We fucking woo. Get over it, pussy. When I know I'm going to be with my boyfriend or I'm at work / in public, I will use a disc. They work okay for short periods of time for me, but at night when I know I'm going to be alone, I will use those disposable underwear. I don't worry about tossing around at night and leaking. I don't have to think about getting TSS, and honestly, I cramp less, but they look like a diaper, and I know that's not sexy. My boyfriend had a weekend trip to Vegas planned to leave Friday and come back Monday. I was on my period, knew he would be out of town, so I decided to sleep comfortably. Something happened on the trip and they ended up coming back late Sunday instead of Monday. He decided not to tell me because he wanted to surprise me. So I went to bed Sunday night around 9 like always. At some point in the middle of the night, he slipped into bed with me. When he got into bed, he felt the period underwear and freaked out. He said I was gross for just laying there in the blood. I got up, took a shower, and changed into a disc. When I laid back down, he just ignored me and went to sleep. I went to work and didn't hear from him on Monday. Tuesday afternoon, he came over to talk and said when he thinks about me, all he can see is a child wearing a diaper. He asked if I used them, and I said of course not, but he says he doesn't believe me, that I'm a horrible girlfriend for hiding this fetish from him, that he's wasted all this time and energy on our relationship. I tried to explain why I use them when he's not around and that I know they aren't attractive, that I'll stop using them altogether because I love him and I don't want to ruin our relationship. He said he'll think about it, but he wants me to talk to my doctor about getting on a different birth control so I don't have my period at all, because now the thought of me having one grosses him out. I told him I don't want to change birth controls. So now he says I'm an a-hole for not being willing to do something so simple to make him feel better. I told him I needed a few days to get a hold of my doctor. I have an appointment on Friday. Am I the a-hole if I decide not to change birth controls? What the fuck is this? This is one of those stories where I pray to God this is fake. It hurts me to think that there are humans on this planet like this boyfriend. What an immature waste of fucking oxygen. I don't want you to have your period. Grow up, coward. If you meet the love of your life and he has this perspective about women's bodies, get fucking rid of him. I don't care if he cures cancer. This man is not worth your time. Update 1. I canceled the doctor's appointment. I want to clear a few things up though. 1. Him coming in while I was sleeping. He had permission to do that for most of our relationship because he works very early in the morning and would wake me up so we can spend time together on days we wouldn't see each other later. So no, it was not attempted R-word or a concern at all. As a teen, my best friend's mom is the one who would buy me pads. My mom passed away when I was 9. Bro, this woman was set up for failure, man. Some people messaged me, and during these conversations, a few more things have connected, and yeah, I'm going to break up with him. There are other things he's done that I didn't think were problems, and they are. Update 2, I took the little bit of stuff he had here to his apartment while he was at work. I met with him after he got off and told him I wasn't going to change birth control, and after thinking about his reaction and a few other conversations we've had, I had no interest in being with him anymore. He threw a tantrum, shocker, saying I'm never going to find someone who loves me like him and a lot of other gross things I don't want to repeat. When I got home, I thanked my landlord for telling me to post here and told her what the outcome was. Just so everyone isn't worried, you have to go through a gate with a code to get to where my studio is. I've changed my access code so he can't get in, and I gave the night security his car information and a photo just to be safe. Thank you all for the advice, not only about this situation, but many of you commented about my upbringing and that there are some things I need to work through. I'm going to do that. Am I the a-hole for not apologizing for having sex in my own living room? I, 28 male, and my fiance, 26 female, are writing this together. Obviously, we are engaged, but we have lived together in my house for about 2 years now, longer than we've been engaged. I have a brother, male 27, Ryan, and Ryan has a fiance slash girlfriend slash mother of his kids, Erica. Erica and him met in high school, and they had their first child when they were 17. They have had 2 more children since then. For a while, they were separated, and then together, and then separated again. Honestly, I can't keep up with them. Erica is also the problem. I know I sound biased because Ryan is my brother, but everyone in the family agrees she's not a likable woman. She's argumentative, rude, and entitled. She constantly starts arguments with Ryan or her own children at holidays and seems to think she deserves everything Ryan has ever done or accomplished because they have 3 kids. Erica also took an especially rude attitude towards my fiance for whatever reason. My fiance wants me to emphasize here, Erica is a fucking bitch if you haven't gotten that. Her words, not mine. Well, with that being said, my fiance and I often babysit Ryan and Erica's kids on weekends or at nights when they are work or just whenever they need. Erica is cordial enough to my fiance when she's asking for a babysitter, but other than that, they don't talk. And I think they both prefer it that way. My fiance wants me to note here that it's not just us who have an issue with Erica, it's my sister and Erica's own brother as well. So last week, my fiance and I went out to our favorite restaurant after work and had some drinks at a nearby bar and went home at around 11:30. We were both a little drunk in our own home with a locked door and decided that the bedroom was just too far of a walk, and we started to undress on the couch. 5 minutes later, my fiance is in a much more exposed state than I am, and she's on my lap. Suddenly, we hear the keys at the front door. Like scorned teenagers, we jump up. My fiance sprints around the corner to the hallway, leaving her clothes everywhere on the floor. Luckily, I still had my jeans on, so when Erica came in with her 11-month-old, I'm just so desperately trying to hide a raging boner, but not too exposed. I can hear my fiance around the corner half laughing, half sobbing of embarrassment, and I'm just looking at Erica like, since when the fuck do you let yourself into my house? Erica looks at me, looks on the floor, looks around for my fiance, then just walks out and slams the door shut. After that, we got a spew of angry text messages. Erica told us that we were indecent people with no class, or integrity, that my fiance should respect herself more by not being so open about her sex life, and that she will not be returning to our house with her children as it's obviously not a safe place. Is it bad that my reaction to that would have been to tell her, well, you probably shouldn't go back to your house either because we've fucked there too? True or not? How funny would that fucking be? I asked Erica how she even got a key to her house and what she was doing coming in unannounced in the first place, and her answer was that she took the key from Ryan. They were fighting. She needed my fiance to watch the baby while she figured everything out. She said that we would never watch her kids again. Obviously, while my fiance was pissed at basically being called a whore, she's very hurt that Erica claims she will keep the kids from her. My fiance loves the kids a lot, and she really likes having them. When I saw how upset this made her, even though I think it's empty threats, I texted my brother. The text I received from Ryan seemed like they were written by Erica, but honestly, I can't be sure. It seems they both are now holding a grudge on what wouldn't be an issue if Erica would just stop being entitled. Ryan said that if we apologize to Erica for what happened, then likely she will forgive us. My fiance was ready to swallow her pride and just apologize, but I refuse. I don't think we did anything wrong. You can't walk into somebody's house unannounced, and when there's like something going on, you're like, oh, I can't believe it. I would honestly, like, if I were OP and the fiance, I would feel unreasonably violated. Hey, you can't just walk into our house whenever you want, unannounced. Easy, not the a-hole. Update, my fiance finally got it through her head that she shouldn't apologize, so thanks for that. Shortly after, Erica wanted us to babysit again, and I said, no, absolutely not. Not until you apologize to my fiance for the horrible remarks you made about her. She refused. My brother called me an hour after that asking what the problem is. I explained what happened. Turns out he didn't even know. We're both pretty sure that when he got into that fight with Erica, she was going out to try to find another man to sleep with while telling my brother she was staying with us with the baby. She's an effing psychopath. Yesterday, Erica called and apologized to us, begging us to watch the kids. I said I'd think about it, but until then, we need our keys back, which we've gotten. Am I the a-hole for freezing out my wife after she told people that having sex with me does nothing for her? For context, we, male 56 and female 47, have been together for 26 years, married for over 20 years, one child. We always try to make the most of our weekends together, and yesterday was no exception. We had a day out, shopping, and food, then met up with acquaintances for a few drinks before heading home. The subject got around to relationships and how to keep the flame burning. One of the younger women asked my wife how to keep sex enjoyable after being with the person for so long. I don't know. Having sex with me does nothing for me since our child, 18, was born. There was an awkward silence and people started making excuses to leave. Traveling home, mostly in silence, I asked her if she thought that was an appropriate comment and that I wanted her to apologize. As per usual, she doubled down and blamed me for being too sensitive. Since then, there has been no communication. I'm not making fun of autism. This is a very, like, somebody with autism who couldn't pick up on social cues would answer a question like this. And I'm not saying that's okay by any means, but I mean, she did answer the question. The verdict that I would go on this is we need more info. How aware was OP that this is how his wife felt about sex with him? Because, like, if that is the case, I do think it's a little bit of OP's fault. It's both responsibilities to communicate and figure out how to obtain that, but it definitely is up to the guy not to be ignoring it and just being like, doesn't matter because I'm feeling great. The only conclusion that I can pull from this is that their communication skills suck. Update. She has said that she meant penetrative sex means nothing to her as she is unable to orgasm that way since childbirth. That is not what she said in public. I knew there was an issue. Bought the equipment/balls to help her tighten up, but they were never used. Sex would consist of a lot of foreplay, oral, and occasionally toy play. This would give her 3 or 4 orgasms before penetration. I thought she enjoyed the intimacy. I don't guilt her into sex. When we had our child, I waited 10 months before we resumed physical intimacy. I'm not going to insult her to make myself feel better. 2 wrongs make it a hell of a lot worse. She has tried to blame the comment on the menopause. She is perimenopause and the few drinks that she had, but I'm not buying it. That's an excuse, not an apology. I'm not the typical Scotsman. No deep fried Mars bars for me. I do a physical job and run 5K every second day. I was 32-inch waist when we married, and I'm 34-inch waist 20 odd years later. To be truthful, I'm feeling shock, shame, embarrassment, and emasculated. I can't imagine ever being intimate with her again. It doesn't sound like OP was like, hey, I don't care, I'm having fun. He still makes sure that she has orgasms and stuff during their sex. This would also kind of piss me off if somebody said this about me in a group setting. After that update, I think I have to go with not the a-hole. You should be mad at her, and she should feel more apologetic. Not only did she emasculate you, but she has this almost negative view on the most intimate part of your guys' relationship. Am I the a-hole for being truthful and admitting that I find my wife unattractive after her surgery? My wife wife had plastic surgery recently. We had discussed it and I was against it. It was not my decision and ultimately I had no say. She looks weird now. She had the fat sucked out of her face, lip fillers, a neck lift, other stuff I don't really get. She gives me uncanny valley vibes now. It freaks me out. She is fully healed now and she wants us to go back to normal, like me initiating sex. I have done so, but not as much as I used to. And when I do, I try and make sure there is very little light. That's crazy. It's been a few months and I kind of dread having to look at her. Obviously, she has noticed. She has been bugging me to tell her what's up. I've tried telling her I'm just tired from work or that I'm run down, really anything except for the truth. She broke down and asked me if I was having an affair. I said that I wasn't. She asked to look at my phone. I unlocked it for her and handed it to her. I wasn't worried about her finding anything because there's nothing to find. She spent an hour looking through it and found nothing. She asked me to explain why I changed. I tried explaining that I just wasn't that interested right now. Nothing I said was good enough for her. She kept digging. I finally told the truth. I wasn't harsh or brutally honest. I just told her that her new face wasn't something I found attractive and that I was turned off. She asked if that's why I turn off all the lights now. I said yes. She started crying and said that she needed time alone. She went to stay with her sister. I've been called every name in the book since this happened. Her sister says I'm a piece of shit for insulting my wife's looks. Her friends all think I'm the asshole. I try not to say anything. I can't force myself to find her attractive. I still love her, but her face is just weird now. She looks like the blue alien from The Fifth Element. Bro, I know I should not be laughing, you guys, but that's crazy to be like, this is what my wife looks like. I think OP is the a-hole, one, for how he talks about his wife. How much are we going to bring in like OP's consent into this? Because with consent implies attraction to that person, and if he's not attracted to her, then it's going against his consent to do those things with his wife. If I was married to a woman who got a bunch of plastic surgery and kind of looked funky afterwards, I think I would have a hard time with this too. I have a hard time being like he's an a-hole for that, when honestly, if I were in his same shoes, I'd probably feel the same way. If we're just answering the question posed, which is if OP is the a-hole for being truthful, admitting that he finds his wife unattractive after her surgery, I think I have to go with not the a-hole. It's okay to communicate your boundaries to your partner and what you can consent to. And you can't really consent to sex if you're not attracted to that person. I think where OP comes in the a-hole is the way he talks about his wife is just kind of uncalled for. Like, it's one thing just to be like, I'm not attracted to it. It's another thing to be like, she looks like the blue alien from this movie. It's funny, but it's messed up. It's honestly worse for him to not tell his wife the truth and to continue having sex with her with consent not necessarily being there during it. While it's totally in her right to make that choice to get that surgery, you're not the a-hole, OP. No one's an a-hole for what they do/don't find attractive. And I said this in another comment, but you tried to compromise internally and tried to protect her feelings, but she flung around accusations of cheating, wouldn't let it go, kept pushing, and when you were honest with her, she flipped shit, left, and pulled other people into your marriage who are now on a slam campaign against you. She did all of this and still can't manage to take any personal responsibility or act like an adult about it. Am I the a-hole for making my wife confess to all of her friends and family that she cheated on me if she did not want a divorce? We have a 34 male OP and a 32 female wife. I've been married to my wife for 5 years and we have 3 children. A few months ago, I found out from my wife's text that she had been cheating on me and I confronted her about it. She confessed to me and gave me an entire breakdown of her affair, which had lasted for a month. I was devastated and asked her why. She gave no excuses for it and said she had caught feelings for her affair partner which were wrong and she had acted on them. He was her coworker. I asked her if I lacked in anything and she had said no, and she was in tears. I needed a few days to process this. My wife gave me space, but she asked me many times to reconsider divorce because it would uproot the lives of our children. She said she would do anything I wanted for the rest of my life. That sentence just rubbed me the wrong way. Using the children as leverage to not get divorced, as well as being like, I'll do anything for you, just seems icky. After a week, I decided that I needed only one thing from my wife to completely forgive her, and that was to call each and every one of her friends and family and confess to her affair. I told her that was my only condition. She was really hesitant and asked me if I could reconsider the condition because this would ruin a lot of her friendships and family relationships. But I told her this this was what I needed as a part of my forgiveness process. And if she didn't do this, I was going to start looking for a divorce lawyer. Over the next week, my wife made a phone call to all of her friends, parents, grandparents, siblings, uncles, aunts, pretty much anyone she knew, and confessed to her affair. It was hurtful and there was a lot of crying. My wife was hurled with a lot of shouting. By the week's end, my wife had called everyone I had wanted her to call. I mean, I have to respect that. As much as I'm like, bro, you cheated, you don't deserve any type of forgiveness, that takes some balls to call everyone you know and be like, hey, I know this is completely off topic, but I have to let you know that I cheated on my husband. It has been a few months and my wife and I actually have a really strong relationship now. However, my wife has pretty much become isolated from her friends and a lot of her family. This has hurt her a lot and she spends a lot of nights crying, but she says this was worth it for our relationship and for our children. Honestly, no, you're not. If this is really what it took for you to be like, I don't care that you cheated, as long as that's completely true, hey man, your wife could have just not cheated. As long as you guys are strong now and like this was all you needed to like keep the relationship going, she owed it to you. Am I the a-hole for not wanting to have sex after my wife turned it into a reward/punishment system? I think my wife is experiencing a phenomena called the 7 years itch right now. We've been married to each other for 7 years now and did not have any serious problems before. Around the end of 2023, she started offering sex for small gestures such as gifts or doing chores. For the last 7 years, and since I have been an independent adult, I make sure to handle my share of chores. She offered mind-blowing sex for me, doing her part of chores, which I enjoyed first. Then it turned into gifts and gestures. Mind you, these had all been present in our relationship for the last 7 years, nothing out of the ordinary. That change happened literally overnight. Great sex life. Both take care of other parties' needs by communicating clearly and respecting their wishes. Even though it was good at first, it turned into a form of reward/punishment later on. You did not do X, no sex for you. Or, good, you did this, we can have sex. I asked her, what is the deal with this? She did not do it before. She said she gets turned on and feels emotionally connected when I put extra effort in the relationship. I just rolled my eyes at that. What changed overnight for it to happen? I should have asked it back then. It has been few months since this started and I could not take it anymore. I started refusing her advances because it's such a turnoff for me. Yesterday, she came to me and said, you did the chores. I think you deserve a reward. I told her I do not know where you have seen this, but it's getting out of hand. I am not Pavlov's dog that you are giving threat or punishment to. Communicate with me if there's something wrong, but this change you had overnight is ridiculous. Do you expect me to beg for it and to obey you in every case? You are making me feel like I have not contributed anything to chores or did not show you any gestures before that. Just tell me what is happening, because if we are going to change every good aspect of our relationship because you saw it somewhere else, this relationship will die out faster than a candlestick. She stormed out crying and slept on the couch. I'm getting the cold shoulder now. Did my wife turn into an 8-year-old child or what? What is this sudden change, and am I the a-hole for not wanting to have sex with her and calling out her behavior? I would appreciate advice, especially from women. I would have gone with not the a-hole and your wife's the a-hole if it were not for this line right here. It sounds like your wife has found a new turn on with you putting more effort in the relationship. It doesn't sound like she's doing this as a way to manipulate you, which is I think how you're interpreting it. But I think she just wants more effort in the relationship and gets turned on when you put said effort into the relationship, which might go more into maybe you're not putting enough effort into the relationship and that's why your wife feels that way. I'm more leaning towards no a-holes here. As long as the wife's sexual attraction to more effort is genuine, I don't really think there's anything wrong with that. I don't know though. The punishment system is still rubbing me wrong. It's almost like a no a-holes here and everyone sucks here at the same time. Update. I was planning to talk to my wife today, but surprisingly, she came to talk to me in the early morning during breakfast. She apologized and told me the things I said made her understand she hurt me and she felt terrible for that. She told me she took it too far without reading my reactions. I also apologized for telling her off like that and losing control of my emotions. We had a great discussion about what happened, why it happened, and our marriage in general. I asked her if she thought my gestures were not enough and if she thought our share of chores were unfair. She said it's not like that and there's no problem with the share of chores or my gestures. She has been feeling less confident, and adding a new dynamic to our relationship by making me try more made her feel better, just like before we were married. Also, she told me having less things to do allowed her to completely focus on me and turned her on more. She also stated she was feeling shy initiating due to her confidence, and this dynamic helped her to initiate. I asked if she was happy with our sex life and me. She said she is more than happy and reward/punishment thing has nothing to do with it. My final question was if she had this kind of kink. She said maybe. She felt felt good playing like that, but accepted turning the whole sex life into this was terrible of her. I agreed while it was good in the beginning, turning the whole sex life into a reward/punishment system and doing it all the time became a problem. I told her I am okay with that kind of play or any kind of play as long as it's communicated. I am a freak, so no problem from my side. We had more talk about private things, but in the end communicated our thoughts and feelings to each other clearly. In the end, she told me maybe I should reward her for being a good girl this time, and this awakened something sleeping in me. I do not know if I will be able to wait for the night. Finally, there were some people demonizing my wife and telling me to divorce or find an affair right away. On the other hand, some declared me as a deadbeat husband abusing my wife by making her mommy me, even though I clearly stated it's not like that in the post. Why people love assuming things with zero information like that to make one party guilty? Chill. I feel like if you're complaining about this, like that's what you sign up for when you're posting your shit online, is for people to come up with shit. Am I the a-hole for divorcing my wife after she got an abortion? So we got a 27 male and a 27 female. Me and my wife have been together for 4.5 years and married for 2. We've discussed kids before marriage and both agreed that we wanted kids. A couple weeks after we got married, we started trying for a baby and she got pregnant, but was having doubts about kids at the time. We discussed it a bit and she said she didn't feel ready yet. I didn't push back and let her make that decision since she's the one who's pregnant. 3 weeks ago, she got pregnant again. I was excited, but she still wasn't sure. She said she wanted to wait a little longer, and I tried asking her for a timeline, but she just said that when she feels ready, she'd let me know. I asked her if she still wants kids at all, and she gave me a non-answer where she said she doesn't know if she wants kids anymore and wouldn't elaborate. I didn't want to pressure her to do anything, but I told her that I want to have kids and that I need to rethink our relationship if this is the route she wants to go. She got the abortion, and I started the divorce proceedings a few weeks later. Some of our mutuals are saying I was wrong to separate because of this, and she's called me a few times sobbing. I really want to be with her, but having kids and starting a family is really important to me, and it feels like she's been too unsure and unclear with what she wants and has been stringing me along in the process. Edit, sorry, I should have clarified that the second time she got pregnant, we weren't actively trying because she hadn't said she's ready after the first abortion. Edit 2, I'm 100% pro-choice and would never want anyone to be forced to give birth. She's not killing anyone, simply terminating a pregnancy. Also, we're Canadian and a medical abortion pill is readily available in our province. The title is clickbait. The real title of this should be, am I the a-hole for divorcing my wife because she's unsure if she wants kids? If we're just blanket statementing the answer to that question, I think you have to go with not the a-hole. If for some reason things change and a family is that important to you, I think a divorce is 100% merited. I think he owes it to his wife to make some sort of ultimatum first. Hey, we need to sit down, talk through this, and lay everything out on the table right now because kids are important to me and I need to figure out, like, what's your holdup here? Do you not actually want kids and you're afraid to tell me because you're gonna lose me? Do you want kids but you're more afraid about what it'll do to your body? What's going on here? Either we lay this out right now or right after this conversation, I'm going to my lawyer and setting up divorce papers. It doesn't seem like they both did a great job about communicating it better. And I think you're the a-hole for that. When you get married to someone, you should do literally everything and anything you can think of to make it work. And if it doesn't work, that's fine. I don't think he tried that hard to really understand, like, where is this coming from? So in that way, OP is the a-hole here. I feel like he's just kind of giving up. That's a cowardly thing to do in my eyes. Am I the a-hole for divorcing my wife over getting a massage? My soon-to-be ex-wife and I are both in our late 30s. We've been together 12 years, married for 10. We are in a dead bedroom. It was totally dead for 6 months before I filed for divorce. It was on life support / ICU for 5 to 6 years before that. We both wanted to be younger parents and both wanted 2 kids. We conceived our daughter almost immediately after getting married. When she was 6 months old, we started trying to have the second child. It never happened. After 3 years, we started seeing fertility specialists and found out we both have pretty serious reproductive issues. The doctor told us our daughter was nothing short of a miracle and said it was against all odds that we not only conceived, but carried to term. It was after this that the sex life began to seriously decline. Initially, I thought it was just the pain of finding out and knowing we wouldn't be able to afford the fertility options and figured it would just get better over time. It never did. It only got worse. 5 years ago, I would say we had sex 15 to 20 times that year. In 2023, we had sex 3 times. I've tried everything to improve this, spicing things up, talking, suggesting counseling. I more than pull my weight around the house. We both work and work basically the same hours. I'm telling this because the usual stuff I read on Reddit about how the wife does it all is not even close to true. Over time, I have grown more and more resentful. The thing that makes me the most resentful is she knows I have a high libido and just doesn't care. I, on the other hand, know she loves to be rubbed on / massaged and never took that from her. I probably rub on her 325 times a year. Almost every night, I will rub her calves, shins, ankles, and feet. 4 to 5 nights a month, I will go big and do neck, shoulders, back, butt, hamstring, quads, shins, calves, ankles, and feet. I noticed that doing the big massages was the best way to get sex, as she was more likely to allow me to do the foreplay things I know work on her if I had already done this prep. I did them more often a few years ago, but now not as much. The success rate was never that great, maybe 20% of the time, but in the last 2 years, we are definitely in the single digits. When we hit the 4 months of absolutely no sex, I decided I wasn't rubbing on her ever again. It only took 3 days for her to notice, and she asked me to. I told her no, and I got angry. I said, why should I when you don't give a fuck about what I want? Obviously not my finest moment, and huge argument followed. Things got ice cold at home, but I wasn't giving in. I was tired of it all. A few weeks ago, she told me fine, I would just start seeing a professional masseuse. I said, then I will start seeing sex workers. She said that I was cheating. I said, fine, I won't, but you will not get a massage from anyone else. That is also cheating. She said I was being ridiculous, and I said, no, it's being touched in an intimate way by another. If I can't have that, neither can you, and I swear to fucking God, if you do, I will file for divorce that day. The following weekend, she went to go get her nails done. I know how long it takes for her to get her nails done. She came back almost an hour and a half later than expected. She didn't say anything, just acted normal. I got on her credit card app on my phone, and sure enough, there was a $95 charge to the goddamn massage person in the same strip mall as the nail place. I lost it, and when I did, so did she. I think we both let out years of frustration on each other. True to my word though, I called a divorce lawyer on Monday. The only part that upset me was my lawyer said based on those circumstances, I couldn't list infidelity as the reason for divorce and had to go with irreconcilable differences. Anyway, she has been telling people we are divorcing because she got a massage. Since then, I've had a number of family members / friends call me and say I'm an a-hole. Some of them, even when I tell them my real reasons, still think I'm an a-hole and that my reasons aren't good enough. Personally, I think getting a massage when told not to is plenty of reasoning. Personal note, I reread this and I know it comes off angry, but I am angry at myself for wasting so many years. But I am also angry because this was just the ultimate fuck you. She just went and did it anyways and didn't even try to hide it. Literally went to the same place next to the nail salon and used her credit card, which I paid, like I wasn't going to see the charge. I think OP's the a-hole because equating sex to getting a massage just isn't doing it for me. That's not the same thing. Giving and receiving a massage has different consensual implications than having sex does. Not saying that OP shouldn't be frustrated at the fact that his marriage doesn't have sex and probably has a lot of other issues, but the way to handle that isn't trying to force them to give you sex by not giving them massage. The verdict I want to land on though is everyone sucks here, because even though like your wife is fully in her rights to go get a massage if she wants to, she isn't completely innocent in this story either. My conclusion is that this marriage should have ended years ago. I do want to look at the comments on this one. The last straw is almost always something small and stupid, but it's just the latest in the long line of hurts. You didn't divorce because she got a massage. The massage was just the final blow to this already dead marriage. Just divorce and die. Okay, but where are the verdicts? Your needs weren't being met. That's the reason you're divorcing, and it's perfectly fine. You're within your rights to do so, and it's not an a-hole mood. But if you put it like, I think getting massages when told not to is plenty of reasoning, that makes you sound like a controlling a-hole. So make sure you state things as they are. You were divorcing because you were unhappy and the marriage was one-sided, not because she got a massage. You got the wrong trigger there. Why is nobody talking about this whole section right here is so incredibly immature and wrong? Not saying that his feelings of like, hey, I'm not getting any sex out of this marriage and I would like to aren't merited, but what I'm saying is him manifesting it in this way feels wrong to me. I was telling my husband this story and he said the massage could be considered cheating because she's having her physical needs met outside of the marriage. Physical needs of getting a massage are different from physical needs of sexual pleasure. I don't necessarily disagree with your husband, Sammy, but I think it's just different. The consent in the situation of sex is more important than the consent of a massage. A massage is something where like maybe you don't want to do it, but if somebody forces you to do it, no lines are really crossed. Versus sex, if you don't want to do that, for somebody to force you to do that is a huge implication. I think that's the problem that I have with this.